All right, welcome to Not My Rabbit Hole with Tere Joyce. Hold on a second here. I'm going to bring myself into the hi. Welcome. And I think some of you who may be here today may have seen me in Stephen Cambion's chat with Truth Seekers, talking about Sarah Rachel Adams, and also a lot of you know that I have a past with Sarah Rachel Adams. And before I continue on with the rest of this show, I think that I should let you know some of the background. Excuse me. I've got my coffee here. It's not mushroom coffee. It's actually real coffee in here because, sometimes you just really need the caffeine. Oh, by the way, happy Cesar Chavez Day. The reason why I'm able to live stream today at 12:30 is because I don't have any classes. It's a federal holiday. And so I thought, well, what a great time to come out and talk about Sarah Rachel Adams. And there's a certain thing that I like to focus on with my stream that I think is different than what Stephen Cambion did. I'm just adding on to it. And I think that a lot of us have our own testimony and our own research into things that Sarah Rachel Adams has done that is misrepresentation of who she really is. I'm trying to not be too bad. No, fraudulent things that I had discovered about Sarah Rachel Adams. One of the things that I wanted to start out with is how I actually got to know Sarah at all in the first place was because I was a host for Revolution Radio, and later on I became a host for American Freedom Radio. And I had become friends with her on Facebook. I had a interest actually in Max Spiers. Max Spiers and James Casbolt. I started watching them when they first appeared on Carrie Cassidy's show in that epic interview. And I was following the super soldier stuff. And then I had discovered Sarah on Miles Johnston had done an interview of Sarah on Bases. Not the first interview that he did, which Stephen Cambion highlighted on his show, but it was Sarah talking and being interviewed and not really knowing who she was, but I knew that she eventually realized that she was Max Spiers' girlfriend. And so during the time when how I got in Revolution Radio was that I was interviewed by a host on the show called Roxy Lopez. And I had a show called Hollywood Hemptress Hour. It was on New Dissident Radio first. And I was an activist for cannabis. I was wanting to educate people on its medicinal use as well as the applications that they can use with hemp. And I was very much a part of that movement politically, specifically in Los Angeles. And so there were things about that I went on that show to talk about. And also I was watching Revolution Radio. And at that point, they asked me if I wanted to do a show. And I said, okay. So my show was more about, they wanted me because they wanted me to talk about the topic of cannabis, but I also wanted to talk about other things like UFOs, and I wanted to go into that whole paradigm. And, being on Revolution Radio was super fun. I mean, there was a real fun part about it, and that's how I got to meet Taj, and Christine Joanna Hart was also on Revolution Radio, and through Taj, I interviewed Christine. And he kind of hooked me up. I can't remember if he hooked me up with Sarah or not. I do know that I ended up interviewing Sarah quite a few times early on. This is probably like 2000, I think 2014 or 2015, I might have started right in that pocket to interview Sarah. And then through Sarah, and then also being Max's Facebook friend, I ended up being able to do the interview that I did with Max Spiers. And there was like I would say maybe for a couple of years. I mean, Sarah and I really didn't have a fallout with each other, I think, until around 2019. I even met her one time personally. She was in Malibu, and I had dinner with Malibu. I mean, not Malibu. There's somebody I know named Malibu, so I'm having a little excuse me there for a minute. I was in Malibu, California, and I met Haley and another person that she was with, and then Sarah and the plastic surgeon she was dating at the time. And we had dinner, and everything was, really copacetic. It was even through Sarah that I got connected with Kevin Moore. And Kevin Moore has done all that research on Captain Mark Richards and all of that, right? He was doing a documentary. Kevin Moore and I met in Altadena, California. We both interviewed each other. And that's how that whole thing happened. It was through that happening that, excuse me, it was through that happening that I got wind that Sarah was paying, I don't know if she was Kevin Moore's assistant. I mean, I met her in Altadena. I thought she was the producer of the documentary. I think I'm confused exactly what her role to Kevin Moore was. But she had psychic abilities, or so she said. And she said that Sarah was doing these high-end psychic readings, like, maybe like getting like $2,000 a month. And Sarah was only giving her like $50. And not $2,000 a month, but like $2,000 a reading. And Sarah was only giving her $50. And I thought, well, that's deceptive. That's not good, right? And then she said that Sarah repeated something that was really defamatory of Vanessa Bates. And it was something that I don't really want to repeat. It's so ugly that I really don't want to repeat it, but I will say that it's on the lines of things that the lies that I've had said about me that would involve sexual deviation of minors, being maybe her own son. That's basically what Sarah was saying. And I, at this point, sorry, I'm a little phlegmy. It's raining today, but it's spring, and I'm in the Central Valley, and there's all this pollen and everything. So, forgive me. But so at this point, I had gotten to know Vanessa and had, certain conversations with her online, mainly DMs through Facebook, and really I feel like I have become friends with her, and I really care about her, and also what her grieving, her sadness of the death of Max. And I feel, I don't know, very compassionate towards her because of that. And also the amount of loss that a lot of us have experienced. One of the things that the comments that I get on the interview that I do have of Max, I really care. I can tell that even today, people are talking about him, and they're also wondering about exactly what happened to him, because there's a lot of mystery surrounding what happened to him in Poland and the circumstances around his death. And so when I did my breakaway with Sarah, when I rejected, it was pretty dramatic, let's just say. What I said, what I thought, about Sarah. I had said things that I felt that she was deceptive, and I didn't. It didn't set right with me. One of the reasons why I got involved in this kind of media was because it was supposed to be the truth. We even called ourselves the truth media. And my thought is that, well, if you're not being truthful, if you are taking money for these readings and you don't really even have the talent to do these readings, then you're not really a psychic, and your whole entire whole entire thing that you're doing is a deception for people. And I can't personally, I can't do that, and I can't stand behind anything like that. So I came out and I talked about it publicly, and I ended up getting a lot of harassment from Sarah. Where she started saying things about me, just posting about it, trying, saying that I was, negative, I had negative energy, and all this kind of stuff. And some of the stories even got to where I was responsible for Max's death, and all of it. It just went on and on. It even got to the point where Sarah would create accounts on YouTube to just harass me. Not on YouTube, but like, let's say on Facebook. She would, I have a Not My Rabbit Hole Facebook page, and she tried to make threats to me through the Facebook page. Now, one of the things, hi, Max Smith. It's interesting, Max. One of the things, and again, I don't know what Sarah's YouTube channel is right now. So if Sarah wants to come on this broadcast and, talk about certain things, she can. I think that if you are going to be talking about somebody, they do have the right to defend themselves, really. But one of the things that Sarah did do, and I'm going to pull this video up just to let you see the type of harassment that Sarah Rachel Adams does to people online. Let me see. Of all things, it's the one thing I didn't stick up here. Wait. Give me just a second. I'll find it here really quick. So I have like a page where I set everything up. And here it is. Okay. In fact, I'm not even going to play I had background music to this, so I'm going to make sure that you don't. Let me see. Okay, yeah, I don't want the audio to go because I don't want to get the copyright for this song. I played a song with it, but I just want you to see the images, all right, while I'm talking about it. And I'm going to share the screenshot. This is something that Sarah did to me on Instagram. Let me see, make sure I got that right. Okay, she did to me on Instagram. And she made these, she did this to my face, and also another YouTuber at the time that was also on Miles Johnson's show before did the same thing to both of our photos. And so I'm going to just let this play in the background. This is just some footage that I did for the beginning of it, but let me get to the main part here. Here we go. So you can tell, like, she's done graphics like this. She would make it, take these creepy kind of photos and, add that to what she was doing. And I'll go with a little bit more here so you can see. This is what she did to Carissa. And that's another one of the photos that she found, and whoever was behind it, and I do believe that it was Sarah, because of the fact that she added me and Carissa into the abuse, because she had a beef with this other YouTuber, and And then she also mentioned a person that I was dating. Okay, so this is Taj right here. And I included this too because at the same time, Taj was Sarah's manager, and I was actually, and I'm going to get to that right now because I'm this is my reason really to do this stream. Is my problem was at the time at this point when Taj sent this to me, and I had criticism of Taj, was because of the fact that Sarah around Max's death, and I also have a mainstream article that I'm gonna point out that she went to the press and said this, but she told people that she was his fiance and that he was being targeted by Satanists and things like this. And there's this whole dialogue, and Taj and Sandra DeRoy went on Sean Atwood's show and talked about it. There's this whole narrative that Max Spiers' phone was waterlogged because they were sexting with each other in the bathtub. So it's a reason for the damage of a cell phone. And what I found out was Sandra DeRoy, and I have more, I'm going to get more in depth about this. I'm just giving you a quick overview of it. But there was Sandra DeRoy is another, I guess what you would say, YouTuber that talks about conspiracies and this pocket. She was doing a film about targeted individuals, which is made already finished. But she said that she was going to meet Max in Poland, and that she was told by somebody that you better not go because you're going to get your pretty face broken because something was going to happen to Max. And she said that Max was not in a relationship with Sarah at that time, and that he made a statement to her that he was getting rid of toxic people. So she was saying that she had her blessing to come out and talk about things about Max's death. And this was around 2020. She had their blessing. I said, well, how could she have her blessing or Taj's blessing or Sarah's blessing to talk about Max's death if both Sarah and Sandra have conflicting stories? And this is something that Taj did to me. I don't know. I guess maybe this was Twitter at the time. And I got this, bring it, bitch. You got nothing, living in an RV, taking money off unemployment, no job, no future. What you got, I should waste my time with you. Why should I waste my time with you? Basically, is what he's saying to me. And, Taj, it's really interesting how like the tables turn because, I have gone back to college, and, I've gone back to college. I'm not living in a trailer. I mean, it's not super deluxe, but I've moved up to being in an apartment. I'm about to graduate, and I got accepted into the MFA program for creative nonfiction writing, and I've got job opportunities happening. I'm employed right now working as a tutor for Anthropology 1 at a city college. So I think maybe like things have like really changed at this point. But this is the kind of treatment that I got from Taj in, discrediting me. Like, you're just a nobody. Nobody gives a shit about what you have to say. But I think that what I have to say is actually really relevant, because if you're perpetuating, and a lot of you guys out there, you're like, oh, Taj is coming out. And he realized, Sarah did blank, 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 but he propagated this narrative with these other women and participated, at least what I would say, in that deception. And, my thought is like, how long has it been that Taj and Sarah actually really worked together? Oh, I'd say like 10 years, maybe, that it was where, now, or at least 10, well, I mean, let's definitely say right around the time that Max died, which was 2015, or the end of 2000, or 2016 he died. And you go from there to like now, it's nearly 10 years that all of this has been going on, knowingly that, Sarah was, doing essential oils for COVID, knowing that was a deception. I called that out, kept going with it. And now he has some sort of like financial issue with Sarah or some breach of something. And I'm sorry, when you spend like 9 years, going on with that particular LARP and going with the deception of Max Spiers' death, I'm not feeling so forgiving about it. I remember getting that on X from him. So, I have a little bit of a different take, but, I'll go ahead and we haven't heard from Sandra in a while, but we're going to talk about her today because I pulled up some stuff. Obviously I'm not going to talk about something and not have any receipts for it, really. But here, I'm going to go ahead and share the screen again here for a second. Where am I? Here we go. I've got some of Steven's stuff pulled up too as well today. So here, I'll go on with that. So I get this. I get that from Sarah. And, there's more graphics. Here's some more. Terry Joyce's pussy was the best. I mean, that's just not okay to do this. And especially if you are, saying that you are a spiritual person that's able to heal people, that you're a psychic intuitive empath. And I get Terry Joyce licked my balls, big fan, on Instagram. This is your psychic intuitive healer right here in action. And if you criticize her, she's going to run through this kind of harassment or campaign on you on Instagram. All right. So, and I mean, I could go on. I mean, it's a whole video that I did here. And she referenced, Steven and all, she knew that I was dating Steven at that time. So, she threw him in there and everything else. And so I just wanted to show like some of what she had done at the time. All right, I'm going to play a little bit of Stephen Cambion talking about Sarah, so you can get his take on his coverage of her, and he gives a really good overview of some of the scams and his experience and his investigation into Sarah. So let me get about about right here. Okay. Make sure. Great. And I think I'm going to take myself, well, maybe I'll keep myself in here. I might take myself out of it, out of the frame. StreamYard's changed a little bit, and their applications, it's been a while since I've done a stream. Okay, here we go. I'm going to
played along with you, and you had no idea you were getting punked. Guess your psychic powers failed you also. She replied, I told you I work on energy, which in turn often heals them. And then she says, well, this just shows you rigged this, and you also lie. Yeah, okay, I rigged it. I wanted to test your superpowers. And this is the best test of the superpowers that I could think of.
So Stephen actually, hooked up, not hooked up, but talked to Sarah, wanted to interview her. And also, she said that she could help his autistic son. And also, well, you'll see.
I reply, he's a mentalist and hypnotist, by the way, and agrees with me that you use hypnotic inductions. And if that fails you, or you can't resort to standard hypnotic inductions, you use standard cold reading techniques all fake psychics use. He agrees with me. You use hypnotic induction techniques and cold reading techniques. He agrees with me that your superpowers are all bogus. I didn't rig anything. I tested your superpowers and psychic powers, and you failed miserably. She says, you're also lying about how you said I would not do the show. No, I'm not. Here we are, Sarah R. Adams. Listen, I said that you could come on the show tonight. I gave you 10 opportunities to come on the show. I'm not lying when I say that you won't come on the show. How many times am I supposed to invite you? You've gotten 10 invitations. I've got screenshots of the 10 invitations, the 10 times I tried to schedule with you. And I went above and beyond. I said, I know you might be on a different time zone. I'll do it whenever you want, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday this week. No reply. Next time, Sarah, I'm still trying to finish this interview. So if you'd like to do.
So this is like old footage of him early on with Sarah that he's showing here. And he showed this at the beginning of his show.
What I could do it Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, anytime you want. Just let me know. No reply. And over and over and over again. I didn't lie when I said you wouldn't come on the show. You're not on the show. You're not on the show tonight. You could be. Oh, and by the way, just to be fair, she blocked me on Twitter and Facebook, so I really have no way of sending the invitation to her to be on the show. But here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to try to send it to her manager. And there's the StreamYard invitation. Or to Jinder Gill, her manager.
Or maybe not. This might have been actually happening.
You can come on too if you want, but I have to finish the presentation first. Okay, so let's get back to the messages. This is like 2 hours today. She's going back and forth. I said, say what you want. Your claimed superpowers failed. You don't have superpowers, Sarah. You were as ordinary as any person. Sorry to break it to you, but that is the reality of your superpower claims. Oh, and you know what? I can share this up until a certain point. So just so nobody thinks that I'm making any of this shit up, these are the actual messages between Sarah Adams and I. So you told me previously you can diagnose people's illnesses by viewing their auras. Why didn't you know he wasn't sick? It's because your superpowers are Sarah. She says, actually, I thought your friend was a bit creepy the way he spoke and was attempting to keep up my part of the deal.
See, what happened is that Stephen challenged Sarah, and because Sarah was saying that she can cure his friend who had stage 4 cancer, and he challenged her to do it, but he had a friend step in who didn't have cancer. The whole thing was false. And then this is the conversation that they're having between each other.
You were to send an unbiased person to get the results that way. I made my friend Cedric Taylor promise me that he would be fair and give you enough rope to hang you. I mean, we talked honestly. I said to him, I know that you're familiar with these cold reading techniques and these hypnotic techniques. You're a hypnotist. I just want you to verify for me if she's using hypnotic induction techniques and cold reading, or if you actually feel anything, if you think her powers are real, come back to me and we'll talk about it. And he came back to me and said, fraud like all the rest. There's nothing special about her, except he agreed with me that it's quite rare that a fake psychic will take the time to actually learn hypnotic induction techniques. He agrees with me and my assessment of your fake superpowers. So I say, I sent you someone familiar with fake psychic techniques, and you use fake psychic techniques just as I knew you would. Cold reading is not superpowers, Sarah. She says, and I told you when I talked, I told him anything. I suggested if he was sick, he could look into alternative healing therapies. And I told him, I don't heal people. I work on clearing emotions and energy. You're an intuitive healer. That's the title you gave yourself. Now you're saying that you don't heal people? You work on clearing emotions and energy? your title is intuitive psychic healer, Sarah Adams. You're backpedaling now because you know that you just got punked bad. I sent a hypnotist to you, a mentalist that is familiar with fake psychic techniques. And he nailed you and said, yeah, Steve, I agree with you. She's using cold reading. She's using hypnotic inductions. She doesn't have any superpowers. Now, and you feel like don't you feel like just a little bit, Sarah R. Adams? You didn't even know that he didn't have cancer. You didn't even know that he wasn't sick at all. And you're telling him, I have the notes. You're telling him like you're working on shrinking cancer cells and all this nonsense you told him. This word salad, bunch of nonsense. You're working on his quantum chakra, third eye, pineal gland, quantum entangled consciousness alter, and all this nonsense you told him. Don't you feel at least a little bit like an because you didn't know that he wasn't even sick and you're telling him that you're healing his cancer cells? And by the way, how dare you? If you really take money from people that have cancer and you tell them like you're shrinking their cancer cells, then you're a piece. You're a piece if you do that. And we have proof that you did it in at least this case.
All right, so you guys get the point, right? Another thing that I want to share with you, like from Steven's broadcast, is this old interview of her with Miles Johnston. And before we get to this, let me find. Okay, right here. Oh no, a little bit farther. Let me see. Here we go. Wait. There's a point where Tash comes on and talks to Steven. Maybe that's it. No. I should have found that better. Anyway, so Tash comes on at some point. Maybe I went back too far. But this is Sarah on the Basis Project. Her first interview at the Super Soldier Summit that happened in Henderson, Nevada. The infamous Super Soldier Summit. I'm still looking for that one thing there. I wish I had sourced that. Okay. Anyway, I'm going to pull it. Here it is. Here we go.
He found this and put it back up. That's her former manager. So
yeah. So Sarah was just saying that's her former manager because chat that night of this stream, Taj was in the show. Here we go.
Oh God, I got to do this right now. This is important.
And he was saying that he was going to give, because see, Taj took down all of Sarah's videos. He was going to give her the entire YouTube channel for him to go over through and see everything. So yeah.
So Sarah R. Adams, for those unaware, has retconned her superhero origin story multiple times. She threatened Miles Johnson, who did this interview, with a lawsuit if he didn't take it down, because this wrecks her grift, her current grift, because this is her first grift and it didn't go real well. And she retconned and came up with a new story for how she got her superpowers. So she threatened the guy who did this interview to take this down. I'm downloading it right now. This has melted off the internet multiple times due to her legal threats, but let's get into it. I don't want to get a copyright claim for music. She looks like a Kensington hooker in this video too. Just, my opinion, I'm entitled to it. From test tube to black goo and Queen Elizard burst survivor.
Are there people living on other?
Well, she survived a burst. Is that like surviving Darkside Phil's May 1st burst?
Planets right now, or other galaxies?
Affirmative.
Could you tell us which one?
All.
We're at Super Soldier Summit, second Super Soldier Summit, and it's very pleased to meet.
Such high quality production at the Super Soldier. She looks like she's being interviewed at a park in Kensington.
I'm pleased to meet you too.
And you've got a lot of talent.
Thank you.
And you've met many things, and you're very spiritually.
Yes, I'm very, very spiritual. That's my everyday life.
So, what brings you to this super soldier summit?
A lot of things that happened to me since I was young, and a lot of things I'm aware of involving the government and how everything is made to look like everything's normal, but it's not. There's a lot of underlying things going on that is not normal, and the public isn't aware of it, and they're asleep to these things. And I wanted to come and converse with others like myself and speak with others like myself.
She looks like a drug addict.
Right, this instant we can too much. Society is starting to wake up, but this instant not so much, so kind of lonely. So it's also like, for me, it's something that I'm with other people like me.
Meth powers, go, meth powers.
I would say that the minds of society are closed off to the higher self, and their heart chakras are closed off to the higher source. And we are starting to live in a society where it's more robotic oriented or AI oriented. This just hasn't begun in this century, but that was a long time ago. It happened on other planets.
Yeah, I don't think she's been on James.
It seems to be a presence that is very dark. I wouldn't say evil, because I don't believe in evil, but I would say it was a more of an advanced intelligence presence that absorbs energy for its survival, and it's done this to many previous planets.
Wow. And you know what this sounds like? This sounds like somebody that got too tweaked up on meth or something, and then just started telling you like all their shit, like all their views of the universe. Wow. Yeah, and people are saying that she looked better back then. She's been through an awful lot of plastic surgery, and it looks like bad plastic surgery and a tremendous weight gain. I guess if you're not tweaking out on meth a lot, you'll start gaining weight. She's gotten very fat lately, I guess.
Earth is in peril of the same thing that happened to the other planets. If you look above, I used to often tell people, you can tell what's going to happen to Earth by looking at the stars. You look at the barren planets, because it's happened to it before. They were all populated and very beautiful before all this began, actually.
Right, and here's where we get into nonsense. Okay, so the other planets were all populated. Even Mercury, they were all populated. Who's living on Mercury, you dumb bitch? Like you'd be scorched to a cinder in a millisecond if you were standing on Mercury. But don't let anything like science or logic get in the way of a good new age bullshit story.
And the same energy has went from planet to planet, absorbing all the life force out of it, to the very point that the planet is barren. And it's doing the same thing to Earth this instant. And people on Earth are in amnesia to what's happening. They don't understand what's happening. And they're incarnating over and over and over and being used as energy sources.
Yes.
And they're not.
The plastic surgeons are licensed by the same people her lawyer is licensed by. Sure.
They are not. They're being used as energy sources. And if they try to literally go higher in vibration, or they start getting attacked by this presence, I'm not sure how to explain this presence in terms, in human words. It's something that I sense and see.
She's sensing presences, of course. And anybody?
Oh, you get the idea. I'm just giving, again, I don't want to play Stephen's entire broadcast here, but you get the idea of what happened. Here's another part I want to share where Sarah is pushing her multidimensional. See, what I'm hearing, and again, I want to be careful about it, but I'm getting feedback that there might have been some sort of misrepresentation of Sarah's income, where she was saying on her website, see, she went from being a psychic intuitive healer to I'll let you look at me for a second. She went from being a psychic intuitive healer to being a multi-dimensional life coach, to helping other people become multi-dimensional life coach. This is like the third phase. If all else fell, become a professional motivational speaker, and then help other people become motivational speakers, so we can all make big money, like being a real estate agent. So only this is like the quasi, what do you call it? The quasi truth media version of it, the quasi UFO, the quasi scam version of it. Because no matter how you break it down, when you bring in the topic of UFOs, there's fallen angels, and it goes into, there people associate biblical happenings with it, the Book of Enoch, and they go off onto this star seed, ascension timeline. So they're from the very get-go, when people started coming together in LA and in the 50s and stuff like that, where you had L. Ron Hubbard writing science fiction books, and there's giant rock out there here in California. People were meeting and congregating, and this kind of like new age UFO spiritual thing happened. Historically, if you want to take look at it, I mean, we had Sean David Morton, you had David Wilcock, and then we got Corey Good, and Captain Mark Richards. I mean, just like the other day, I might bring him up. There's this guy on YouTube, and he's a Christian, and he talks a lot about the reptilian shapeshifter, everything. He was like, I think his name is Richard Bruce. He has a YouTube channel, and I discovered him through a Vice segment about targeted individuals, and he's living, he's doing the van life in LA and talking about reptiles, but he references James Rink a lot, as if James Rink is legitimate, and he references Randy Kramer a lot. I'm like, oh, please don't mention these people, right? And Captain Mark Richards, as his belief in the Draco reptilian conspiracy. And I'm not saying, I mean, look, I don't know. I mean, I question it, right? I mean, I'm not saying, oh, it's not true. Don't get me wrong. But I'm saying that a lot of the people who have grabbed on to the reptilian conspiracy, like a Captain Mark Richards or a Randy Kramer, a David Wilcock, there's discrepancies with a lot of the things that they say. It's like, I don't know if you guys ever watched that documentary. I did commentary on it about the Super Soldier documentary with Oki's Weird Stories. And he infiltrated the Super Soldier stuff. And, he was following James Rink and all the dialogue. He was able to chart all of the narratives of how the Super Soldier people say their story. So anybody could come in and go on and fake it, because there's an actual arc of how those stories come about. It's a very interesting documentary. So I think a lot of people that we've been listening to, like, for example, Simon Parks, right? There's a lot of people out there that what they say, great. If you want to believe it, hey, that's fine. If that's your terminology of what reality is, okay. But really, where is the real evidence that actually really exists? I believe in the possibility that there might be other life on other planets, or I believe in the possibility that, hey, maybe we could occupy Mars. I'm not limited personally in not exploring any of those concepts, but when you're really trying to be factual and know what things are, then you want to have people say, how can you say for sure that that's exactly how it is? And one of the things that, I have problem with, for example, Miles Johnston or other people, and I would say, including myself back then when I was on Revolution Radio, is not really asking those questions, those hard questions, having that skeptical point of view. Just put anybody on and let them talk as if that is like the truth. I mean, as a host, yeah, you can do that. You can explore things and not really have any judgment. But when it really comes down to real facts, you got to be careful about what information is accurate or not. today I'm not here to like argue with anybody about like whether these things are real or not, or whether people are psychic, or there's a way to actually really heal people. But I have found, as a person in this particular media and having come through it, that there are a lot of people that are not telling the truth. And one of those people that I found to be not being truthful was Sarah Rachel Adams. So I want to share a little bit more of this particular part of Stephen's stream, because I think it's relevant, because this part she's talking about to somebody else on somebody else's show about her other third phase of multidimensional life coach
interview that she's ever given, right? And we're going to have access to all of it. Even she won't have access to it, I don't think. So interesting. And this is from The Secret to Everything by Kimberly McGeorge, who I may disagree with, I'm sure, on many things. But this is a recorded call where she's trying to recruit other people to grift with and for her. So we'll cite fair use once again, and let's hear her trying to recruit another new age person into the scams.
Hey everyone, so we're gonna go into the second part. I'm gonna do a little editing, so I don't know how long it's gonna be. I might edit out some of the questions, we'll see. But
I want to acknowledge Fiona Barnett. Hi, thank you for showing up. And I'm just going to highlight, this is another topic, but one that's ongoing. Let's see, I'm going to do an expose on David Schurter very soon. I've spoken to the nephew he abused when he was a child, and Schurter was 16. Keep up the good work, sister. Thank you very much. Yeah, and again, this isn't about David Schurter, but it all kind of, well, in a sense, Sarah's profile has gone into David Schurter's chat to egg him on about me. So in a way, there is a David Schurter connection to this. I think a lot of these people have been around in this particular media, and they're all sort of mealing around together. So yeah, interesting. Or if somebody is talking bad about you and accusing you falsely accusing you of things and this and that, because they have an agenda, they'll jump on with that person and become a part of it. But they're all kind of 6 degrees away from separation from each other. Let's just put it that way.
we're gonna go into the second part of the Super Soldier Talk with Tony, and
TLA,
let me know your
79,
feedback
for the
and
goal.
who you'd
Thank
like
you for
to hear me
kindness.
interview. Please drop below in the comments, and we will go from there. So thank you very
Actually
much.
says it's
Like
penance.
and subscribe.
It's not karma, it's penance. Well, either way, as long as we get the goods on Sarah, we're going to get every interview.
And again, back to Fiona Barnett. It's again the topic of SRA, right? Not Sarah Rachel Adams. I'm talking satanic ritual abuse. That particular topic, like for me, I'm not saying, oh, that doesn't exist. I've never been that way about like, oh, this doesn't happen to people. But what does bother me is, especially with certain movements that have happened online, that are even political in nature, that some of the people that are on the forefront of disseminating this information, people that's disseminated it back like in 2017, they are lying about other people. They are making up stuff. They're not corroborating the evidence. If they want to smear you, they're using that as a smear tactic on innocent people. And my argument about that is, if that's what you're doing, then you are not helping the cause. You are actually being a phony about it. And so you're doing a disservice to the truth of whatever might be happening. And I just want to make that point before we go on. Okay.
Expert. I've been recruited for 2 years, and then we're also launching a hotline for gifted people. Oh, so I'm training coach, and I'm launching groups for.
She's launching her own psychic network, and one of the focuses of this network was going to be to counsel people who are starseeds. And again, if you have mental problems and you think you're an alien sent into a human body, you probably should be talking to a psychiatrist or a psychologist, not a psychic on a telephone line. But what do I know?
$99 a month with different coaches I'm training right now. So I'm doing coach trainings if you want to go further with that.
Okay, I'll definitely think
I
about
agree.
it.
She doesn't have money to sue anyone.
Because I'm looking for coaches because
She's
you will
broke.
be paid every month for the memberships.
And she's about to be more
Oh,
broke.
that's cool.
Yeah.
So you help. Wait. So basically, explain that like a little more. So basically,
Explain the grift
you
to
would
us,
coach me to help me hone in my abilities, and then I would get paid to help other people. Is that
Right. So
okay?
basically,
It's like the network marketing of life of multidimensional life coach. I help you, then you can help somebody else, and we have a pyramid structure. I just kind of seems like that.
I train coaches to coach like me.
Oh.
Do the same thing as me. Yes, I love doing it. And then I right now looking to train extra coaches because we are collaborating on this huge project of
Can't say G.
the Starseed Hotline. So we're going to have
Starseed
coaches that
Hotline.
actually are on the hotline, and then the coaches in the groups where the people go to, and they will get a percentage every month from coach in the groups.
I agree in
And the
karma. I believe in
memberships.
karma.
Wow.
And don't worry.
I think one of the reasons why people want to be involved with super soldiers, or they want to be involved with, being a starseed and everything, because all of us want to feel like we're special. Like, I'm special. I got something special about me. And it's also a group of people. You belong to a group. So if you're feeling like you're lonely or you're an outcast or whatever, you can come in and be brought in with this community, right? I think that's the appeal to it. And again, are we starseeds? What is our soul? I mean, all these things are up for debate. But the fact that there is a whole network of money making associated with it, forget about like doing psychic readings. I'm going to help you how to like be a multidimensional coach and meddle around with somebody else's life and tell them how they should. I'm going to tell you how to live your life when I don't have my life together, is what it seems like to me. When like I'm going to be a dishonest person about things. My entire grift is dishonest. And then I'm going to try to maximize myself as a guru for other. It's crazy to me. It's clever. I mean, hey, you got to give it to her for thinking about it and making it up.
Really
It always
cool.
works. It takes too long sometimes.
So it's not an everyday thing. You have to just do a couple Zoom calls a month for the groups.
Yeah.
It's basically a coaching
Yeah, so
pyramid
that's how
scheme.
that works. So it gives you a lot of
Absolutely,
time
Kmart.
while
It's
still
a
being
coaching
able
pyramid
to,
scheme.
being able to financially make money.
Yeah. I'll
39
definitely
and
think
50.
about that,
11
but
more for the
honestly,
overtime
might
goal.
not be a bad idea.
Okay, so I think you guys get that idea. I once I hit the concept of the point, I'm gonna move on because I have a lot to show you today. One of the things that I want to transition into is I'm just going to go ahead and show my promo for this, and then I'm going to transition into the rest of what I want to talk about. All right, so let's see. I'm going to go to my own channel and share this. Hi. All right, here we go.
I also know that, well, I don't know, but I don't believe he was sexting in the bath. It's highly unlikely, and I believe it was something quite other. So, no, I do not believe for 1 second that there was any reconciliation going on with Sarah and Max.
Emotional baby. Highly emotional baby. Highly emotional baby. Don't take it personally. Highly emotional baby. Highly emotional baby. Highly emotional baby. Don't take it personally. Highly emotional, baby. Highly
Now,
emotional.
pay attention to this for a second. This is Sarah in a group talking about how she dropped the cell phone in the water. All right. This is, I was so happy Max's phone dropped in the water. LOL. It destroyed his hundreds of porn pics and videos he had of both of us. So this is Sarah saying that she was his fiance. They had reconciled. And, you know, the reason why his cell phone was damaged was because they were sexting with each other. Now just remember that for a second here, because this is my main point about, for the whole reason for this stream for me, is that I got a point that I want to make about this.
Highly emotional, baby.
Here, she says the last messages hours before he died. Well, I don't think they will get any evidence from that other than he wasn't planning to die. He was planning to bang his girlfriend hours before he dies. Now, according to Sandra DeRoy and according to Vanessa Bates, Max had no contact with Sarah at this point. So the fact that she's dropped this cell phone in the bathtub, but that's the reason why the cell phone is damaged, is not a true story. That's my point. But this story went on. It actually, Taj and Sandra DeRoy actually went on Sean Atwood's show and talked about it as well, as if it was a fact. And the fact that his cell phone was damaged and everything on his cell phone was wiped, the SD card was scratched, and it was sent back to Vanessa inside a book about satanic ritual sacrifice. Oh yeah, it happened that way. So the whole thing is really suspect, but Sarah getting into this and creating a false narrative. Why is she creating a false narrative around Max Spiers' death? Because if his phone was ruined because of some sort of water damage, then there would be another reason for it to be ruined. She basically gave, like, if you look at it, she gave people an alibi by creating this narrative, this story surrounding Max's death.
Don't take it personally.
Blame it on the party, blame it on the booze. Grab a gun if you want it. Make fake news on the news. Wipe your tears, cry, baby, baby, baby. Ooh, it's
now,
not about
here, look at this right here. Max Spiers. These are old messages between Max and somebody else. And he's saying, you're wrong. Sarah broke up with me because she wanted to be with Sean. See, Sean Stone. Sarah had the hots for Sean Stone. And she basically left Max to be with Sean Stone. Okay? All right, and let's talk about what Sean Stone has propagated. Oh, he has pushed the 17th letter of the alphabet, and all this stuff. Part of the super soldier narrative as well, because especially with I don't know if you guys ever listened to American Psyop about Wesley Clark Jr., who was on the Young Turks, and his story, but he talks about meeting with Sean Stone, and Sean Stone introducing him to Jim Channon, who was part of the military program in The Men Who Stare at Goats. So there is this kind of crossover within this, and yeah, and I just find it all really interesting. I knew Sean Stone was, you know, when I was on Revolution Radio and American Freedom Radio, he was around and making his his presence in this other type of online community, UFO, New Age, Truth Media, which also became the 17th letter of the alphabet push, because the main thing that happened during that time, when I started out in 2014, it was not that way, and it became that way on several channels, including Simon Parks and including David Wilcock pushing it. As a matter of fact, David Wilcock made an ebook about it that you could download. And he's still, what he's talking about, Shadow of Ezra still, or Ezra of Shadow, or whatever the guy's Twitter account, X account is, X now. So Seren's here. It's interesting. I want to show what some of you guys are saying in the chat there before I continue. Sorry, it goes up here. I clicked myself out of my own stream. Sorry. It's like, oh, it Blake. I'm assuming I'm still, if you don't see anything, let me know, but I'm pretty sure I'm back. Okay, let me see. Sarah and Max. I can make predictions all day and have it come true, but not psychic. Okay. Okay. Well, that's actually, honestly, I'm not sure that's still up for debate. Okay, the OD thing is still kind of up. Like, there were several things in the system. Because the CIA could have given him an overdose too. Trust me, it happens. Not saying that's what's happening here. Okay, Seren, that's my point too, because like, here's the thing that I always said about what happened to Max is that he was living with Monica Duval in Poland. He was in an entirely different country. I'm thinking Max didn't have a whole lot of resources. They were giving him a honeypot of a as a matter of fact, I'm going to show a woman that he was with in Poland. There's another photo I want to show, but he was given a honeypot of like a book deal. Monica Duval was a publisher, and she had published some of Stuart Swerdlow's books, who had met Max up in Poland and was around during that particular time. But when you were away and you were at you're being fed by people, you're being housed by people, anybody could put anything in your food. Anybody could put something in your coffee. Anybody could be sprinkled. I mean, you could be ingesting things that you do not know. And I think a person who is a target and had an addiction, he had gone in rehab and everything like that. You're kind of vulnerable to not only have people get you drugs, they will play into your vulnerabilities, and if you do, then they'll they might sprinkle your food so that like when you do OD, then they go, oh, well, all these things were in their body, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they had knowingly ingested all those drugs into their body. Another argument I want to make surrounding Max's death is that because I was following this at this time, so I know like I was friends with him on Facebook. I was following his last few interviews and how it was going, and because I was also connected to Revolution Radio and listening to him there and everything, I was hearing that he was sick. We were getting information that he wasn't feeling well. He wasn't showing up places because he wasn't feeling well. So if somebody's sick, he had pneumonia. So if somebody's sick, why wasn't he given medical care in a way that might have saved his life? That, why wasn't he helped? When you listen to the last interview that he has, and it sounds like he's clearly unable to speak at that time. He clearly sounds like he needs to have medical attention. But what happened then? I mean, I would have stopped filming if somebody wasn't in their right headspace, physically or mentally, to continue with your interview, because other than that, it's kind of abusive. You're not getting the person in their best state to give you the information that you're really looking for. It's unfair. And so a lot of things, even though like there's official reports and official narratives and stuff like that, when you go back over the information, there are certain areas where you might wonder about that. The idea of feeling special and manipulation tactics feel very similar to the Zyzians, which was a subculture group from online nationalist movement. Recently, they they K'd a border. Isn't it sad we have to like kind of indicate things on YouTube? It's like our speech has gone back. Maybe. Okay, so that being said, and again, when it comes to, I liked Max. I like the things that he said. Do I agree with everything? Do I have questions about it? Yeah, of course. But still, I'm open into thinking about those concepts. And a lot of the things that Max talked about maybe was new for some people or for a lot of people, but a lot of the things that he talked about, they were being talked about through other people in other channels. So it's not like he came up with it on his own. In some ways, he might have said, well, he had a lot of knowledge about pop culture and Hollywood and the music industry and the elite and all this kind of stuff. He had knowledge of this, but he also added knowledge that you could reference someplace else as well. Okay, yeah, that's your opinion. I mean, to me, it's not. I don't think he was nuts. But I mean, I didn't see him as being somebody who was not in touch with reality. Okay, well, thanks for sharing. I mean, I'm not wanting to, I'm not here to do this right now. But I'm not going to like take away somebody's opinion on this, because this is an open forum, right? So if that's the way you feel, great. But I'm going to go on with, right? I don't know. Is that funny to you? Okay, that's good. Your energy feels like somebody I might know, actually. And so if I don't know, I got a feeling about who you are, the order. Online rationalist movement was primarily started by a guy who essentially wrote terrible articles about AI that was only primarily sourced on pop culture ideas of AI. Seems like him and Max are kin. I have no idea who that would be. I don't really, you're talking about a time frame where we didn't really discuss AI at that time. Now AI is a lot more in the forefront. So I don't know. I don't recall Max ever talking about artificial intelligence. This was 2015, 2014, 2016. Not to say that people might have been talking about it, but that's more of a topic that's happening today. And it's, in the forefront with X and everything. One thing that I want to bring up next is an article in the Daily Beast. Okay. I'm sorry, the Daily Mail. All right. This is a article that Sarah gave an interview with the Daily Mail, and her testimony of what might have happened during the time of, like around the time of his death. the circumstances that might have happened. So this is Sarah. This is somebody who is not corroborated to have actually been in a relationship at the time, right before he died, is now giving testimony in the Daily Mail. Now, the Daily Mail is kind of considered a little bit of a sensationalist type of a publication, but it is considered media, and you would say it's in the pocket of mainstream media. This is not something that is associated to anything like Revolution Radio or whatever. Okay. So here is exclusive. He was terrified. He wanted out. Dead British UFO expert's fiance. So she went and said she was his fiance. Says he was desperate to flee dark magic sect in Poland and return to UK to have a baby with her. So he was even going to come back and have a baby with her, right? UFO expert Max Spiers, 39, died in mysterious circumstances in Warsaw. His fiancée, Sarah Adams, 31, said he wanted to escape a black magic sect. He told Miss Adams, 31, he was in trouble and was desperate to come home. Adams said he had been anxious and terrified for his safety before he died. Now, it is true that he was anxious for her safety, but that's something that he confided in his mother. He said, if something happens to me, investigate. So, okay, so let's continue. A brief UFO expert who died in mysterious circumstances desperately wanted to escape the shadowy dark magic sect he was linked to, revealed his fiancée. Sarah Adams, 31, said conspiracy theorist Max Spiers, 39, told her he was terrified of the cult he had become involved with in Poland before he vomited black liquid and died suddenly. 2 days before his death, he rang her to say he was in trouble and wanted to get out of the country, he explained. He seemed anxious when we last spoke. He was terrified. He wanted to leave, said Ms. Adams. Max Spiers, the British UFO expert who died. Okay, here's the captions here. In an exclusive interview with Mail Online, U.S.-born Miss Adams claimed that her fiancé was being held against his will. He reigned secretly as they wouldn't let him talk, she said. He sent messages saying he was worried that something wasn't right. He decided to leave Poland to come back to the UK and be with his family and try for a baby with me. And I've gotten information now that Sarah, it was known that Sarah could never have children. Okay. That was from Vanessa Bates herself. So that even is right there is really a false statement, even in that fact. Miss Adams said he had become suspicious of the group he was spending time with in Poland, claiming they were into dark magic. Miss Spiers died on friend Monica Duval's sofa in Warsaw in July 15. He had been due to give a talk on conspiracy theories in Poland. Days before his death, the father of two from Canterbury in Kent texted his mother, English teacher Vanessa Bates, 63, saying, "Your boy is in trouble. If anything happens to me, investigate it." She said, "But I think Max had been digging in some dark places, and I feared that somebody wanted him dead. He was staying with a woman who he had not known for long." And then here's these pictures that were submitted. And I always found this picture here to be interesting because this is a loving embrace, but she's looking to the camera to capture it as if like she was ready to use this in some sort of marketing. It's not organic. Miss Adams also revealed how Spiers sounded terrible when they spoke 2 days before he died on his friend's couch in Warsaw, Poland, and she begged him to go to the hospital. There's no suggestion that Miss Duval, a science fiction writer, is under suspicion or there's any evidence of a crime. In this final interview, 4 days before he died, Mr. Spiers said, was seriously ill as he mumbled, fell asleep, and frequently forgot what he was saying. My face feels on fire, he said. It's like my throat is being throttled. Oh, okay, so why didn't he go to the hospital at that point? That's always been my question. Miss Adams, who spoke to him on Skype 2 days before his death, said he sounded terrible and she begged him to go to the hospital. They spoke on Skype. Okay, so were they Skyping their sexting pictures? Like, or was this actually happening on a phone? Like, was she texting him? I'm telling him I love you. You don't sound well. I told him he needed to go to the hospital, but of course he told me he was fine and he'd take care of it. So, and there's, that this is Stuart Swerdlow and Max and Monica Duval all together in Poland. And Max and his brother. And Vanessa. And I'll just recap here. One, read, you'll never stop me from loving you. Not ever. You can't. It's impossible. And another, he said, you're my love. I'm crazy about you. Well, Sarah, if that's the case, would you have those texts to show that you got that from Max at that time when technically you weren't in a relationship with him? And I'm going to show you more evidence that never really happened, possibly. Miss Adams from Dallas, Texas, had been dating Mr. Spiers for 3.5 years and had been living in Deal, Kent, close to where he lived with his mother. Miss Adams, a freelance life coach. See, even back then, she was saying she was a freelance life coach, not a super soldier, not a psychic, but a freelance life coach. Admitted that their relationship had been difficult at times. I don't remember her being a life coach back then. She was a psychic and an intuitive healer and a super soldier. They had separated in January, but then got back together in June, a month before he died. Adams said he wanted to return to the UK and have a baby with her. She said, we spent Christmas together and it was lovely. We argued sometimes and had our problems, but we always had a very passionate relationship. No matter what, we always ran back to each other. The Polish authorities said Mr. Spiers had died from natural causes. Kent Country Councilor said a postmortem was inconclusive. An unnamed former colleague claimed he died of peptic ulcer. So, a postmortem was ordered and has been undertaken. However, the results were inconclusive and further tests are being carried out. When these results have been received, the coroner will decide whether to continue the investigation and, as part of that investigation, to hold on to the inquest. All right, so now I actually asked Vanessa if Sarah was in a relationship. Hi, Raven. Nice to meet you. Okay, so you're doing this. I work with Doug Mesner. All right, so I am going to block you now. Okay, because we're not going to talk about David today. This is about Sarah, and that was bullshit. Yeah. Okay, so this is Vanessa gave me permission to make a video, to make a video of her testimony to me, and it has been published on my YouTube channel, and I'm gonna play it. Okay, I'm back. Okay, there we go. All right, so I'm going to play it. Darn it. That's not it. It's the wrong one. Shoot. thought I had it. Okay, here it is. Oh,
hi Terry. I just wanted to.
Here we go.
Hi Terry. I just wanted to respond to some of the things you'd said on your latest YouTube. The relationship with Max and Sarah was over before he went to Poland, and that was the end of it. He wanted to keep away from her, but was also very enmeshed with a mess that was going on in Poland. So I absolutely know that his relationship with Sarah was ended before he went. And I also know that, well, I don't know, but I don't believe he was sexting in the bath. It's highly unlikely, and I believe it was something quite other. So, no, I do not believe for 1 second that there was any reconciliation going on with Sarah and Max.
Okay, so that is
just final thought is that, of course, Taj did not know Max at all, and Sarah and Taj and their friendship began after Max was not with us anymore. Max would not have tolerated what went on with Sarah and Taj. That much I know, and that much Sarah knows. But no, Max was his own person, and what went on in Poland and the terrible events that led to his death were to do with the people in Poland.
okay. So that was her testimony, her comment that Sarah didn't know Matt. They were not in a relationship with each other at that time, and one of the reasons why I questioned her about it was because of the fact that it's weird how like StreamYard's definitely different right now, but that's okay. Because I was questioning when Sandra DeRoy came on the scene, and we're going to talk about Sandra DeRoy here in a second. So I don't know if this is actually Fiona Barnett or not, or was Fiona Barnett. But apparently she's mad because I got the order out of the chat. Well, I got rid of them because they were saying that they were Doug Mesner. Maybe I saw it wrong, but I saw the whole Doug Mesner thing, and I felt that and he was saying things about Max that were not that they were criticizing Max, and then they brought up Doug Mesner, and I'm like, okay, that's a whole David Schroeder narrative. So I don't know. Let me see. Well, you know what? I'm kind of curious about this. So, in the meantime, I'm going to start to play a little bit of the Miles Johnston interview with Carrie Cassidy about the details of Max's death. And that, because I'm kind of curious about like what is going on with this Fiona Barnett profile. It seems very irrational to just she would just leave and say bye because I got rid of somebody in my chat. That seems a little bit extreme. Okay, here we go.
You see, I grew up in America. I grew up in the land where phrases like, I have a dream, meant something. I grew up where I believed that freedom existed, that's what I was fighting for. I believed that the Statue of Liberty was a symbol of our liberty, that we all came from all over the world because we didn't want to live underneath the monarchy, that our founding fathers made America the land of the free and the land of the brave. I don't care what you say to me. I don't care if there's a shadow government or there's people out there that's trying to take it away from us. This is America, damn it, and I'm taking it back.
And now your host, Tere Joyce.
All right, so it is Hillary's emails, Bernie Sanders, and Max Spiers. It has been on my mind basically for the first part of the day today because there's just so much going on. As I always say, I don't know about you guys, but I've had a pretty busy morning and early afternoon with just I don't know, information being sent to me and flying in my direction from all angles. Sometimes I get so overwhelmed. But and just so you know, you were listening to the Freedom of Joyce show here on American Freedom Radio, but you probably already know that. Maybe that's why you're tuned in or not, or maybe you're just surfing the web and going, oh my God, you know, what's this American Freedom Radio? Click, and here I am talking to you. But welcome to the show, and thank you for being here. First of all, I want to start off with Max Spiers. So I'm going to just kind of.
Okay, so. Oh, this isn't the interview of that. This is like a whole nother video. Oh, here it is. So we're gonna cut to about right. I mean, I talk about this for a while, but I want to cut to here. And by the way, that's a fake Fiona Barnett account. Let me show you how fake that Fiona Barnett account is right now, because I just checked it out. I'm gonna pull off of this for just a second. Isn't that funny? I mean, it's not funny really, but that's how much this other thing that's going on, that they want to come up and disrupt this show and bring attention to it, which is like trippy. But I'm going to show you the fake Fiona account. Oh, that's myself. How did that happen? Oh, I guess I can't. Anyway, just trust me. The account's fake. It's not Fiona Barnett. It's account that it's been around for 2 years, has no content. I just don't think it's actually for Fiona. So that was a big distraction. Okay, so let me go back to here now that I've disrupted this. Hey, all right. Let me go back to here again.
Are not going to know the details.
So the long short of it is, about 2 months ago, we had that conference, and he spoke, and he was very well received, and he decided to stay on. There's a very fine lady called Monica Duval, who is a publisher, and she naturally felt that he was a good vehicle for publication of his works. So Max stayed on, and he stayed with Monica. Now, one of the other key players here is Stuart Sverdlow, because there's a picture published quite recently of Stuart with Max and Monica. And this is a happy thing. These people are very, very nice people. Everybody's a lovely time, and this is totally pleasant and just great. And to hear on Saturday evening that Max had died, you virtually finished as the conference finished, was a hell of a bloody shock.
Right.
Now, in the meantime, there's another player on this. She's called Christine Joanna Hart, and she's got a show on Revolution Radio as Queen of Heart in the States. Okay? Now, there's a major connection here with the astral super soldiers, because Christine Joanna Hart is a British mainstream broadsheet journalist from London's Fleet Street. And she's been a super soldier, and she's been investigating, she's got right up to the head of the real IRA. She's investigated key players in terrorism. And a lot of people are wondering how she ever got there. But the bottom line is that she shares a lot of the attributes to a lot of the sort of super soldier people. She knows Aquino, this guy. Aquino, she's been battling with him in the astral, and this is all on her show. She's explained all this on her show on Revolution Radio, which I republished with their permission on Basis 50. It's up to like 30 parts or something.
Okay, and just to be clear here, because there are people listening that are not going to know who Michael Aquino is. He is a black.
Every character needs explained.
Yeah, he's a black magician. He was based in San Francisco, to my knowledge. I don't know if he's still there.
Well, I've heard that he's essentially a much worse, a far more, I better be careful what I say, a far more intensely dangerous character than Britain's Jimmy Savile, who was essentially, it's been claimed by sources that this Jimmy Savile was basically the elite's child catcher. And he was sanctioned by the BBC for like 40 years, 50 years on BBC television.
Could we cut to the chase and talk about a little more recent events that may have led to his death?
Okay, so let's jump to Poland. So he's gone to Poland. We've had the conference, and I fly back, and Kieran flies back, but Max stays. So basically, Max is staying with Monica Duval. Very nice. They're getting on very well, and they've shot, what I understand, 3 very nice interviews in Poland. Very nice atmosphere, and I think they were published yesterday. And Max basically was building up to really tell them very important things.
Okay, so in terms of, to get back to the Saturday night and when you got word, can you go down that road a bit?
Okay, Monica Duval and the other lady, Madeline, sent me text messages, which I received all at the same time, because I'd only just switched my phone on right at like 6:15 after we finished at Passing Clouds. I go through these text messages, and I'm on my way. I'm making my way back to Devizes, which I brought all these books. Which anyway, so I need to go back on the train, back 150 miles back to. So I get this text message: Max is dead. So I then call Madeline in Poland to find out what the hell's happened, and she's very distraught. They're in tears and very emotional. Max is dead, and we're desperately trying to get.
Now, I want you to and remember the name Madeline, right? Because there is a picture of Sarah with a woman that was, in Poland or part of the Poland situation. Matter of fact, I'm going to stop and share the screen, which is really kind of odd that she would be actually pictured with somebody who was associated to this. I don't know what time frame this picture was taken, but I want to share it really quick. Let me see. Let me stop this for a second, and I'm going to go over to something else. No, that's not it. It's here. Yeah. So who is is this? Who is this? All right. Apparently, this was sent to me by Vanessa, and she's picked. Is this Madeline? I'm just curious. All right. So we're gonna continue here. Let me stop the share. Oh, did you see that? Maybe I didn't show it. Hold on. Let me make sure you see it. Here it is. Who is this? Is this Madeline? Apparently that person was with Max in Poland, but there's a picture with Sarah with her. When did they meet? All right. Okay. And then I'm going to go back to this part here.
Get hold of his next of kin, his mother, right? So I then standing at a tube station, and I get a call. I talk to Monica, and she is extremely distraught that they cannot revive Max. So she mentioned something about 3 doctors trying to revive him. He's found him passed out, not breathing. She's called in the emergency services. They're desperately trying to revive him. Now, I'm not sure if this was officially declared dead at 1600 hours Warsaw time, which would be 6 o'clock British time, or whether it was 6 o'clock p.m. Warsaw time. But if that was the case, it would be 8 o'clock our time. People have got to understand that from London time to Warsaw time, there's 2 hour difference. So what's 4 o'clock in the afternoon in Warsaw, I think, is 6 o'clock in the afternoon for us. Am I getting that right?
No, you're getting that backwards. So it's 2 hours later as you go east. So if for you, when you got the call, it might have been 6 o'clock. If it was that late, I don't know. If you left my conference, I thought perhaps you left my conference.
We all left at about 6 o'clock, quarter past half.
All right, so you left at about 6 British time. Then it's actually more like 8 p.m. in Warsaw.
Right. Okay.
So
but whether how long he'd be declared dead is relatively important here because it determines whether even conceivable that he could be revived. The bottom line is, if there's any kind of hope with somebody's death, you do your best. You do everything you can to try and revive somebody. So if somebody says there may be some hope, well, let's wish there is hope. Now, I had to jump into a train. It was basically communication for the next hour. So at the start of that train journey, Monica's, just before it started, Monica's voice went from crisis to possible hope. Now, that is where the confusion arose that he was actually in a coma and hadn't died. And that's all. There's then this gap of about an hour, because I'm in it and can't really communicate. You can get about a couple of minutes or 30 seconds on the phone with the mountains and the hills and things when you're using the mobile phone network on it.
right.
And so, your communication isn't that good. If you're lucky, you might get the right bit of line where you get a good signal for 3 or 4 minutes. But you're going under tunnels and all sorts of things. So basically, it was another hour and basically a half, roughly about another 90 minutes before I was able to get stable communication. It was back home. And that's when Monica was once again extremely distraught, and there was no question of it at all. Max was dead. But in the meantime, people had been firing things around that he dropped dead and he was in a coma and the whole thing goes completely out of hand. And that's all baloney, right? Max was dead and wasn't coming back. There was a period of time when maybe there could have been some hope. That, like 5 minutes, then I was in the train for the next hour and a half. So let's get that all in context.
Okay, fine.
Basically, Max died.
Okay, now
late afternoon of Saturday afternoon.
Okay, and the information you got was that, correct me if I'm wrong, what you relayed to me is that some kind of fluid was coming out of his body. Are you talking about for days on end? Or are you talking this was a sudden, breach of fluid? Or, I don't. You said it was black, but it could have.
So I believe on this footage that you're going to they're going to talk about Sarah coming into the conversation and her accusation that that Stuart Swerdlow's wife gave him some type of supplements, and she was upset about it. Today, I have a graphic that was sent to me from Vanessa Bates where there is conversation that when Max went to Cyprus, he did meet Sarah's mom there, and her mom gave Max a supplement. And I'm going to show that screenshot here in a minute. I want you to pay attention to a couple of things. One, that conversation of Sarah interjecting into blaming Stuart Swerdlow's wife of giving him and being upset about a supplement being sent to him. And then I want you to pay attention to Sandra DeRoy coming into the conversation. In this is the very first time anybody from this media, what we call the truth media or the UFO conspiracy media, this is the first time anybody talked about what happened to Max. And you're going to see that Sandra DeRoy calls in and says that Max was not in a relationship with Sarah. So I want you to pay attention to that.
Have been from the lower intestine.
After I got back, now we're talking now late at night on the Saturday night, 4 or 5 hours later, Monica is still in a hell of a state of distress because she's got Max there, and she then explained to me that earlier, but she didn't give me a time frame, so I don't know whether this happened on Friday, whether it happened a few hours or minutes before he was declared dead or whatever. I don't know that information. So, and we don't know the volume of liquid that came out of Max, but basically Monica explained that a black fluid was coming out of Max's nose and mouth and anus. Basically, he was dumping black fluid. Now, I have no idea how much was involved. We don't know what the fluid was. We have no evidence, and that is what an autopsy has to analyze and an official investigation has to analyze. And anything else on top of that is pure speculation.
Okay. All right. And so
subsequent to that,
yes,
lost consciousness and revived.
I understand. So have you been able to talk to Monica any further?
I literally off the phone. Monica literally called about 20 minutes ago before I literally started, and she has seen my YouTube thing, and I knew she'd be unhappy with that. But the bottom line is, when somebody dies, and a young man dies, they need to know what the cause of death is, and that has to be determined by an autopsy or by official bodies. And when they do that, they will give us the actual details. And that may be quite some time because.
Okay, and let me reiterate too that post Max's death, Taj, and Sarah did on Revolution Radio, because they had a show briefly together. They interviewed Vanessa, and they talked about the time span from his death and why they did not call the police or the coroner or whatever, didn't show up till 6 hours later. They said that they performed a ritual. So not only so now, let's just realizing this, and I'm going to continue here. Sarah is not in a relationship with Max, but somehow Monica Duval and these other people know to call her and bring her into this ritual. And they were saying that they were trying to get his soul in a bottle of wine or milk or something like that, where they say that a soul can be contained. This is, and Sarah said this, and Vanessa has also corroborated that she was there or heard it happening, that Sarah was online with them. So I'm showing you that picture of that one mysterious woman who might, I'm thinking, be Madeline. So Sarah has a connection. So let's say she wasn't in a relationship with them, which it really looks like she wasn't, being that she there's evidence of Max saying that she left with Sean Stone, that you're going to hear Sandra DeRoy say that he told her that she was not in a relationship with her, with Sarah. And I heard from talking to Vanessa Bates within the last couple of days that there was possibly a romance that was going to happen. There was an attraction between Sandra and Max. He had some interest in her. There was a little spark going on there. So that also was taking place. So when you talk about somebody that's come in and gone to what you would consider to be, it's more like a little bit of a rag magazine, but it's still considered mainstream news, the Daily Mail. You have Sarah giving a complete narrative that she was his fiance and they were going to have a baby together. And she's also participated in the cell phone narrative, which is going to come out on, I'm going to show you some footage of Sean Atwood's interview with Tash and Sandra DeRoy, also perpetuating that narrative. Let's keep going.
Whatever the authorities do in this procedure when you're abroad and you're in a foreign country, especially, his mother has to go there. I thought his mother was en route on Sunday, but I got a message from her this morning that she's not going to be there until tomorrow. So,
okay, but let me ask you this, because you said it sounded like 2 or 3 doctors trying to revive him, if I understood.
I was told that there were something like 3 doctors that made attempts to revive.
All right, so it doesn't somebody, before removing his body from her apartment, because he had stayed there the whole time, don't they have to give a report to her saying, writing down the cause of death, in their opinion at least?
I'm sure they do, but as I have not got that information.
Okay.
And I don't think I think you can establish a time of death, but an autopsy has to determine a cause. Now, the point is, Monica has said that Max was taking medication. Now, I've had other information, and again, these are all interested parties that may want to muddy the waters, so we've got to be very careful here, that he was taking medication which was being given to him from a certain person, and he may have vastly exceeded that medication. And Monica said she didn't know whether Max had exceeded that medication. And if anybody exceeds the medication, they're asking for trouble. And, that's it. And if you take too many aspirin, ordinary aspirin, if you take a whole dose of that, it'll burn the stomach walls. And if you keep doing it, you're gonna have hemorrhaging.
Well, there you go. So
and so Max was not feeling well, according to Vanessa, the day that he went to Cyprus, and that is where he was purchased by Monica Duvall, the Turkish form of Xanax in Cyprus. And that is where Vanessa says that Max met with Sarah's mom, and I guess another relative, might be like her brother or niece or something like that. And he was given also a supplement from Sarah's mom in Cyprus.
What we're really talking about here is these are not isolated incidents. If Max has been killed, and
my question is like, why would you buy somebody who's an addict and go to some place where you can get Xanax and then give it to them? Why would you enable an addict? That's my question.
Evidence, as far as I'm concerned, and as an intuitive, I can tell you right away, this is what I got. Then this is part of a larger picture. And it is not.
I also make it clear that I don't think Monica Duvall has got, she's a fine person. I don't think she has any active participation in this.
I understand. But what I'm saying is that he could be targeted from long distance. I know that I have been, and I know it works if they want to do it. Now, the reason is I wanted to look at this is because I think we need to know why now. Why target him now? They could have brought him back in and tried to reprogram him. Or had he gone so far off the reservation as a super soldier, becoming a whistleblower, that they decided they had to silence him? Did he have some special knowledge?
I mean, if he was going to come out with stuff, the stuff he came out with on Christine Joanna Hart show, because the last time he was on with her show on the Thursday, and he pulled out in the second hour. So that would have been prime time in the afternoon in the United States. Christine Hart's show goes out from 7 p.m. till 9 o'clock here. She's in England. She was interviewing him for an hour, and then he pulled out, and then she basically just pulled out as well. She got in a hell of a roasting from Revolution Radio. So as late as Thursday, Max was on air.
Okay, do you know why? Do you know why he pulled out? Did you ever hear?
I don't know, because next day it was Friday, and then I was preparing for the lecture, but I got 2 text messages from Christine Joanna Hart questioning, was he murdered? And then I says, no, look, leave us alone. This is a tragic time. Let the conspiracy theories. And she said it again. Was he murdered?
Am I right in understanding that he was speaking at a conference at this time? The day before, or was this a misunderstanding?
No. He was, the only thing he was doing, as far as we're concerned, was his last appearance was on the Christine Joanna Hart show, and that's 7 to 9 p.m. our time. So Warsaw time, it's 9 till 11 p.m. I think that's right around.
And on what day was that?
That was last Thursday.
Okay, so that was Thursday, and then was he taken ill on the Friday? Was that your understanding?
What actually happened between Friday and Saturday? In that timeline, the only person who can answer that is Monica.
Okay. Well,
for some reason, he crashed off air and didn't do the second hour on the Thursday evening.
All right. Okay. I see in the chat that Stuart Swerdlow was somehow in contact with Max recently.
Yeah, I mean, that's no secret. There's a very nice photograph of Monica with Max and Stuart having dinner together. That's about 3 or 4 weeks ago. So I don't know what level of continued contact Stuart has had. I understand from Sarah that her wife was giving him some medication of some kind, prescription drugs, I suppose is the term. I don't know what they are. I don't know how much it was. I don't know how much Max actually took. So I mean, those if he took them at all.
Okay.
Okay, so you hear that right there. That's I want you heard that, right? Sarah said Stuart Swerdlow's wife gave her some sort of medication. I don't know if it's prescription or whatever, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so Sarah is blaming somebody else right now of giving something to Max that apparently she has knowledge about. But from Vanessa Bates, her mom gave her Max something. All right, but Sarah's not saying that, right?
And that was the case.
Have you been in touch with Sarah then since Max's death?
Yes, I was the person who broke the news to her, and she was on the phone with me. We were on WhatsApp only about 3 or 4 hours ago, and she was very angry about the Swerdlow connection and the prescription drug.
Okay, so okay. Only take note now. Okay, so I'm giving you a head. This is a redo of something I did before. So Sarah gets called from Max, but then again on Taj's show, Sarah is saying that they did a ritual. So if when they were doing when was that happening? After Miles called her, or was she doing the ritual? Was she pretending that she heard it for the first time? Like, it doesn't really, like, the timelines don't match up for me. Okay, so. Okay. This is something that I did because not even like his, and I can do this later. I'm not going to go on with this. This is like the timelines of when Max was on his show and like what Miles was saying. It doesn't really add up, but I'm not going to go into that right now. Now I want you. I'm going to show like a clip because I didn't show the whole thing there. I didn't show the whole thing, part of it. But you know, because I'm going to show you the Sandra DeRoy part, because Sandra DeRoy comes into this broadcast, and watch what she says about what happened. Again, I don't want to repeat stuff because I already showed you some stuff, but I'm going to cue it here for a second. Okay, yeah, I good. It starts pretty much from the very beginning. So I want to bring this in. All right. All right, here we go. I'm gonna like start it. Oh, wrong thing.
Yeah, I'd love to have Sandra.
Sandra B is online. Okay, Sandra. Hello, Sandra.
Just right here, an open invitation to Stuart. Yeah, I'd love.
That's a big looper right there. So.
Yeah, hi there.
Sandra DeRoy, are you available? You need to turn down your speaker. Somebody's got a lot of high around.
Yeah, you need to turn. Hi, Sandra. You need to turn off your stop listening to the show because you're now on it. Okay, very good. So, Sandra, do you want to make a statement? You knew Max Spiers fairly well, I understand.
Well, it was recent. I sort of like recently was in contact with him. But the last time when I was in contact with him was on the 29th of June. And up till then, I was frequently in touch because he was going to be part of the movie that I'm working on now. So, and then we just sort of got close and we were talking about a lot of things. And I just, you know, in a sense, yeah, I was wondering about the medical thing, and as well that he said that there were some people he was not in touch with. For example, Sarah, that he had blocked her for a long time, at least a month. So it's just you know, making sure that the information that you receive is correct. But I can't confirm anything after the 29th. And he even sent me a picture of him and Swirlo that evening, and he said that he had I'm trying to even find that conversation because it was typed. It's a little bit confusing for me. I need to go back to it and scan it closely because there were other conversations after that. But yeah, he said that he was receiving great information that night, that they were sitting all night and talking, and he was very excited about that. And then prior, unfortunately, he before we stopped being in touch, it just, you know, just silly things, and then things were blown out of proportion. But he did say that he saw a very strange dream of a woman with long dark hair sitting in front of him. It was like sort of lucid dreaming, and he
Okay, so it got cut off there. Okay, we're going into here. It'll come back up. I should have edited this. This is early on in my.
You need to confirm where you're getting the info from, because he wasn't in touch with everyone that you keep naming. So that's all. Sorry.
No, that's great. You know, we want to get as accurate information as possible. And the people that knew him or were close to him are certainly, you know, going to be in a position to make statements as to what they remember. You know, you can appreciate this sort of thing went on as well with certainly the death of Prince, the death of Robin Williams. You know, the chronology and the people that know him, you know, and were in touch with the person in the last few months, certainly before they die, are always important parties to being able to testify as to the state of mind, you know, as to
Yes, he was very happy. I was gonna go and see him actually in Poland. He said that he has sobered up and cleaned up, and I sort of gave him advice how to clean up, because I've cleaned up myself through allergic reactions. I told him, for example, not to drink vodka, that he might be allergic to wheat, because, you know, he might be going crazy after that. That just stick to soft, you know, lighter drinks. And he was like, no, I'm even quitting smoking. It's just unbelievable here. You need to come and see it. And you know, I'm not saying I'm perfect. That, you know, I was obviously manipulated for some reason on the 29th of June, so I stopped communicating with him. But up till then, it was very intense. Yeah.
Okay. So. And again, your name is Sandra. How do you say your last name, Sandra?
Sandra DeRoy.
DeRoy. Okay. And you were shooting a documentary with Max, is that right?
No, actually, I was working on a personal project, and I wanted Max to play one role there, and he agreed to it. So he was going to come down here for the 16th, ironically.
Oh.
And then we sort of, there you go. So I stopped that. And
okay, well,
I thought it would be better, because I felt like I wasn't, you know, I did meet him recently, you know, it was just you know, just a couple of months. But you know, there you go.
Right. Okay. Did you have anything else you wanted to add that you might know about this situation? Are you in touch with any of the people close to him at this time, or anything other than Miles?
No. The reason why I wanted to phone in, that it really bothered me that he was saying that he was getting information from, you know, whatever, Sarah, but he was, you know, that's, I wanted to just give you a little warning or whatever, sort of.
Okay, so you're saying he had not been in touch recently, to your knowledge, with Sarah, is that correct?
Yes, because that's one of the things that, you know, I was like, you know, he kept saying that it's not good for his health, so he sort of eliminated some aspects and people from his life just to clean up his act, and just focus on other things. And it's just, since you're investigating, I think that you need to know where the info's coming from. And I've never met Monica before. he didn't mention her. He said that he was out there, and then whatever, and that's it pretty much. He was very enthusiastic. He always, our conversations were based on infinite information. He would never stop, this man. He had so much information, and actually I'm scanning through the notes here as well, because half of them are typed, which is good, and I'm happy to share them with you.
Okay. Well, I do urge you to keep them private for now, and certainly if you want to try off the record, as they say, share them with me. That's your prerogative. But I think at the moment maybe we have to hear from certainly the family, the mother, and see where things are at from her point of view. I think she would have the final say on what's going on in terms of what gets kind of shared with media and the public. That's usually how it goes. Although certainly any of us who have direct, interaction with him have our right to share what we know. And that's.
Well, Carrie, just to make it up.
Thanks very much, guys. I'm going to jump off then. I think that.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Sandra.
Thank you, Ryan.
To make it clear, I asked his mother this morning exactly what she wanted said and what she didn't want said, and she hasn't got back to me on that yet.
Okay, I understand. Well, I mean, you can't muzzle the truth, and there will be an investigation, I assume.
So you can see clearly that Sandra DeRoy is saying that Max had no contact or was not in a relationship with
Big scary Jeff and Shalom.
was actually, he was not in a relationship with Sarah at the time of his death, and yet you can see by I showed that footage. I'm not that footage, but I showed you the Daily Mail article where Sarah's saying that she was his fiance, all this stuff. Earlier today we opened the show. If you want to go back and look at it again, I showed graphics of Sarah being in a relationship with Sean Stone, Max talking about it, as well as I've said Vanessa Bates said that he was not in a relationship. So Sarah, if we talk about people being deceptive, it's not just that Sarah's been deceptive about being a fake psychic super soldier, multidimensional life coach. She has lied about and muckied up the details of what happened surrounding Max Spiers' death. And what would be the benefit to all of a sudden come out and say, oh, I'm his fiance, we were going to have a baby together, he was being targeted by Satanists, and blank 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 happened, and this is how it went down. She grabbed the narrative and got a push in the media, which basically gave her legs to go on Gaia TV, to go on, Coast to Coast. She was pushed out into the Jimmy Church and everything else to begin to have this sort of the career that she was wanting to have. And there was Taj right there, being her manager and getting her out there on Revolution Radio, doing her YouTube channel and perpetuating these narratives of rituals and Sarah's involvement in it, and how she has all these abilities. And it's almost like, it reminds me of you remember when John Belushi died, and then all of a sudden Jim Belushi's career went up and we got Jim Belushi instead of John Belushi. It's kind of how I feel about Max. It's Max passed away, and guess what, we got Sarah after that. And she really, in my opinion, by what I'm looking at, by looking at the facts of what really happened, she went and she ran with this narrative, and she ran with the narrative about somebody who does have a suspicious death. She totally grifted and benefit off of it, in my opinion. that it was deceptive. And how deceptive is it to insert yourself in the details of somebody's death? And my argument, like, for example, with Taj, was we have Sandra DeRoy having it's giving a completely different narrative at the time before his death, and Sarah saying something completely different. Taj got in the middle of those two women, and I questioned that. I go, how can you guys support Sandra DeRoy and what Sarah says at the same time? Because from the very get-go, both women have conflicted stories about what happened during his death, and they're the whole thing. I showed you where the screenshot where she's talking about how she was sexting with Max in the bathtub, and that's the reason why his cell phone was water ruined, because it fell in the bathtub during that time. That's why, you know, they got the SIM card sent back, scratched up and sent in the inside. Vanessa Bates got it sent in the inside of a book about satanic sacrifices. That's how all that happened, according to Sarah. How is it that the cell phone fell in the bathtub by that, if they were not in a relationship with each other? And I asked Taj that. I pointed that out. And then, of course, I got an ad hominem about what a loser I was, and nobody was going to listen to me because I was living in a trailer and blank, 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 and, you know, whatever. That's the classic, like, you're nothing. You're not credible. You don't know what you're talking about, when it was a very valid question. And then on top of that, Sandra DeRoy promoted her book. She went in and she did a bunch of videos talking about how got in a big old fight with Miles Johnston. You know, she said that, he told her that if she went to Poland, I was going to get my pretty little face broken and all this kind of stuff. And so I have a bit of the Sean Atwood interview where Taj is sitting there with Sandra DeRoy throwing out the bathtub narrative. So I'm going to pull that up for a second. Oh, and by the way, before I do that, I'm going to show a couple of other things, since I have it up on the screen right now. I sent some pictures to myself to talk about here. So let me do I did do the screenshot. So here's what recently, something that Vanessa sent to me. Oh, wait, let me bring it down. Okay, let me I've got it like in a screenshot here. It'd be easier for me to just read off my phone than try to like read it on the screen there, but you can see it. Hold on. Okay. Okay, so it says, Taj, I know you're heartbroken. I just really need to ask you about something that has bothered me since 2016. Do you remember when Max was in Cyprus? Sarah and Max were not getting along. She was crushing hard on Sean Stone, but I remember her coming in to the secret bases chat whilst Max was in Cyprus, and Sarah told us that he had met with her mother and younger sister there. I was confused by this, knowing SRA wasn't getting on with Max at the time. Plus, he was planning to get with Sandra, and SRA was hoping to get with Sean Stone. I remember she told us he was checking up on her younger sister and that her mother had given Max a supplement to take because he wasn't feeling well. Do you remember that? I know I didn't imagine it. I just can't find the screenshot of her saying it. And then Taj responds with, well, why wasn't that mentioned in his inquest? And then he says, you mean the supplement? And he says, I don't know how, I guess the coroner may not have known about it. And then Vanessa says, hardly anyone knows about the mother giving him that supplement. I wish I can find that screenshot. I will find it. I believe this is very important. So she just recently brought this up with Tahinder Gill. And so I'm just showing that there for a second. Here's something that, here's the Fiona Barnett. By the way, Siren, this is the fake Fiona Barnett. account that the person came into my show earlier. There you can see this channel does not have any content. So you probably found Fiona Barnett's real account, but the person that was connected in my chat wasn't really Fiona Barnett, which is typical. This is something that this particular account was trying to pull me into a chat on Facebook. So okay. Usually when people like to get something they want or to protect their reputation or to hide wrongdoing. Yeah. I think that Sarah was an opportunist in this, and that she was that she was an opportunist in this. So hi Aiken. And there was the facts didn't matter to Taj or to Sandra. The fact that they had conflicting stories didn't matter. I just think they wanted to go on Sean Atwood so they can so Sandra could sell her book. I really think it's all about the money. It doesn't matter what the truth is. So okay. I'm going to bring up. So the name of the show is it's titled "The Mysterious Death of Max Spiers and Sandra DeRoy with to Hinder Gill," and I'm going to go ahead and share the screen. I'm going to play a little bit of this as well to show you what they said about it.
Oh, hey, how's it going? Huge thank you for coming on, guys.
Hi, I'm good. I thought you were here.
So,
hello.
Some of my viewers are familiar with Sandra. Some of my viewers are familiar with Sandra from the podcast we did. And Taj, would you like to introduce yourself, please, and just tell us a little bit about you?
My name's Taj. I manage Sarah Adams, who is Max's partner, was Max's partner. I also worked on the Basis project back in 2015, 2016, and was helping with the conference that Max was going to be speaking at in 2016.
So, Sandra, what was your relationship with Max, and what was Max's mission? What was he about for people who are not familiar with him?
Well, the most important thing is that Max was known for his conspiracy research. And yeah, I do understand that there are a lot of people that do not know him still. But anyone involved in the UFO disclosure and conspiracy research in UK at least do know Max, essentially. And I'm not quite sure when Max started this journey, but one of the first interviews that I saw with him was with Project Camelot, and he was with his friend James Casbolt. So if you haven't heard of Max Spiers, maybe a lot of people have heard James Casbolt. And James Casbolt looked very much like Max. They looked really familiar. And the myth, well, not the myth, I don't know why Max never talked about this himself. There were a lot of people putting that stamp on him, this super soldier stamp, which is, in my opinion, a marketing theme. He was part of a group of children, apparently in Canada. There was 40 children part of that group, and majority of them died along the line due to trauma. That was going on, and it was.
I think she looks like Wednesday in the Addams Family. Okay, so I'm going to move it along. Matter of fact, I might even do the closed caption. Okay, here we go.
And basically, majority of the kids died, but they didn't die during that program. They died sort of along the line. A lot of them developed addiction problems due to the psychological trauma, and a lot of them got in accidents. And a lot of those deaths, and what I've understood, were natural causes during their own life. And then James and Max.
I thought this was a much longer interview. That's kind of weird. I might have to go to my footage of it. Okay, here we go.
Political problems and etc. But later, which was the Hampstead Heath case and the pedophilia rings in UK and US, and the speculation is that he was gonna then put this in his book that he was getting help with from Monica Duval at the place where he died in Poland, but we're not gonna get into that today. So Max, yes, died in Poland at a lady's place called Monica Duval, who was a publisher, and she worked with people like Stuart Swerdlow, a very big name in the Montauk Project, and other UFO and all kinds of stuff. And there's just too much to say. So Max Spiers was essentially known for that, but just later on in his life, he started talking about the child abuse and these rings, and that is when he died, which is a big question now.
This sounds like a familiar theme then. You're saying that Max was about to expose perhaps elite pedophiles. He had a book coming out, and then he got snuffed out. Do you second that, Taj?
Yeah, so I was conversing with Max in 2016 in the months before he was supposed to appear at the conference in August. So I was communicating with him and back and forth, and I had no idea that he was going to be talking about things like Hampstead. He was going to name certain, I guess, celebrities or famous people that he had been.
They don't really have a fact that he was going to talk about Hampstead. I find it interesting that they're even bringing that into the conversation. There was, like, when I knew Max, there was no discussion of this. So, but let's continue.
Told were involved in, pedophile activity and that type of thing. I won't name any of the people that I know, but one of them was a musician who died 6 months after Max died, around Christmas 2016. Quite a famous musician. Another was a politician, and another is a comedian, a British comedian who is also an actor. Still
Are we allowed to say these names?
No, we're not allowed to say those names, and I've had legal issues pertaining to this as well. So
I won't say the names, but
yeah,
what I really want to get into is like the time around when Max died, and a lot of the questions around what happened to him, especially when he was doing that last interview, where I don't know if anyone's watched his last interview, but it was audio only. He had problems breathing, and he literally sounded like he was dying during the interview. And there's questions around when that was recorded. It was supposed to have been recorded about 4 days before he died, but it could well have been recorded on the day he died. And as far as the day he died goes, there's a lot of questions surrounding that as well, as to how he died, Monica's involvement as far as supplying him with prescription drugs, which he admitted to in the inquest, which was in January 2019. She gave a statement to the coroner in the UK that she had, while they were on holiday in Cyprus, about 2 weeks before he died, that she supplied him with the entire pharmacy's supply of Xanax, which was about 10 packets.
Okay, this is something that I hadn't heard. Like the entire pharmacies of 10 packets. That's interesting.
That was a contributing factor to his death. He died of pneumonia and an overdose of a mixture of Xanax and oxycodone. Monica's never been questioned about this, as far as why she supplied him these drugs. Also, the day that he died, she called her doctor before she called anybody else, her personal doctor, who attended.
maybe talk about these yet. Just
Okay, yeah.
He's saying it was an inside job.
I don't know if it was an inside job, but there's a lot of questions and things have been covered up. Like stories have changed, several times.
You're right. The stories have changed several times. You're absolutely right, Taz. You're sitting there right in the middle of it.
The Polish side, anyway. So they've given one story and then they've changed their story and then changed the story again. So if there's only one story, then why does it keep, changing? So that's why I would question. I'm not saying that. I would say that there are people who've lied about it.
Right, like
side.
you have done by bringing Sandra on with a different story than Sarah. That's a conflict of interest, right, Taj? Right? I mean, I'm just pointing it out.
Specifically Monica, but because her story's changed, she's also disappeared. Nobody knows where she is or what she's doing. I've done my own sort of investigation into her after Max died. There's questions about her business and her financial situation when Max passed away that could cause you to doubt as to her involvement in his death.
Very serious question for you, Sandra. Are you a super soldier?
No, I am not. Thank God. Right, that's the thing now. So because there's not enough time, so we just want to keyword the issue that we are really concerned about. People are having court cases over a few £100 property losses, and there's never been a normal court case over a man who died on a couch, and all the people involved have disappeared. So who has disappeared? Monica Duval, Alec, who recorded the last interview that has over 500,000 views. And now I've seen that these people have popped up here and there, Alec, etc. And there's never been a court case. So I wanted to know what is going on. And unfortunately, why I never came forward was I received a phone call that was basically a death threat to me, saying to me that if I am going to go and see Max, I better watch out or I'm going to get my pretty little nose hurt.
That's it.
Do you understand? And then the phone was put down in my face. And that was while I was booking my ticket to go and just go see a friend who was very depressed. So they were trying to label him as a junk.
So now he was depressed, but if you hear what she said on Carrie Cassidy's show, he was happy and feeling good and not having toxic people in his life. So again, that's a discrepancy on even what Sandra DeRoy said in the beginning to what she's saying on Sean Atwood's show.
Junkie that is stated in the Daily and in the Guard during the inquest. All these mainstream newspapers were covering it. And they labeled him as a junkie, but the junkie was good enough to be placed.
Actually, the Daily Mail took Sarah's interview and talked about Sarah and how, yes, they talked about his drug overdose because we went over the Daily Mail, but they also went in about Sarah's comments on how she was his fiance. They were going to have a baby together and he was being targeted by Satanists in the Daily Mail.
On the camera during a recording where he said, "It hurts here, I cannot breathe." So people are lying. He was a junkie during reports. Oh my God, he was out of control. But yet he was good enough to be placed in front of a camera to be recorded, which is still public and up now. And the people involved have mixed up all the important factors that me and Taj are going to get into, dates and etc., manipulated everything, which is indicating that they deliberately did this. This was not an accident. It was organized, and as well other nuances that are actually indicating that this was a ritual, okay? And this was a negative satanic ritual.
Okay, so their humble opinion, which is also what Sarah said, right? Her humble opinion that this is a satanic ritual. Here we go.
I started this sort of research thinking that it was some hippie ayahuasca trip. Let's get Max really high, give him all this Axagan and a little other cocktail, and let's mimic a ayahuasca trip and get this information and record it, and then we can, get some very cool spiritual information. That is what I initially thought, but the more I think about it, combined with that phone call that I got, people knew that he was going to be killed, and it now is a serious thing, in my opinion.
So why didn't she say that she got the phone call about him being killed before she went to meet him when she was being interviewed by Carrie Cassidy and Miles Johnston? Like, why wasn't this information said then? It was omitted from that conversation.
I've seen the notes. There are names there. No one recognizes these names. We can discuss that in the future, not today. And there is one name there that was already brought up in the media, a 75-year-old man who was a pedophile. Other kids were coming forward. They found him dead in his bed at 75. He was a manager at a child care facility. Max had all these notes. And he had the name of the caller who gave me the death threat.
Wow. What is the story of the toxic green vomit, and was that ever chemically analyzed? Taj, do you want to?
I'm going to move on.
Paperwork for farming were signed over, and Max during this audio, and
here we go.
Mysterious things had happened to them. Could you expand on that?
I'll just say a couple of words and then Taj, if you don't mind, Taj.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you. So I went to look at this man who recorded Max during this audio, and this man is out loose, and he's still giving these spiritual lectures. Now, just briefly, this is the level of corruption we are dealing with. Max died at this woman's place. The ambulance was not called on time. The police arrived, and then the ambulance was sent away. We're going to elaborate on that in future. So this is the level of cover-up that we're dealing with, that they were able to send even the ambulance away. They didn't even sort of do anything. How am I going to put this? Yeah, I don't want to jump into the future, but no one has seen Monica Duval. We need to emphasize.
By the time the doctor got there, Max was already dead. There's nothing that the doctor could have done. In fact, it was the doctor who called the police because picked up. So this all leads to questions about Monica's involvement. There was I don't know if we want to get into the note that the doctor wrote right now, but it was altered. It was changed. That was at the inquest. The doctor wrote something when he left. It's not really a death certificate.
I'm still trying to get to that one spot.
And it was altered. It was changed. So there's questions about that. Question about him being left overnight. The prescription drugs that he was taking. Where was he getting them from? There's also a head wound that I've seen a picture of his body where it shows a head wound. No one's questioned about that. There's nothing in the coroner's report about it, probably because by the time the body got back to the UK, it was pretty much degraded to an extent where you couldn't see any marks. As far as I know, the body was completely black by the time it arrived in the UK, and his mother couldn't even identify the body. His sister had to identify the body simply from facial features because they couldn't recognize the face even.
Bloody hell.
Yeah, they said that a drowning victim? Did it drown? The morgue, he said, did this person drown? They said, what do you mean? He said, he looks exactly like he's drowned underwater. He's been placed underwater.
Yeah, Vanessa called the I think it was the morgue in the UK when the body arrived, and she was speaking to them, and they just made
That is true, and this is interesting too because he did look like a drowning victim. But then Sarah's made up this whole cell phone sexting thing as a reason for why his cell phone was wiped, right? So he looked like he was drowned, possibly, but then she created a false narrative.
Made a comment like, "Oh, he drowned, didn't he?" And Vanessa was surprised, and asked him, "What do you mean you drowned?" Because the body looks like a drowning victim. That's what the morgue told her. That it was bloated, and because obviously they've seen many drowning victims, they know what a drowning victim looks like. So Vanessa was surprised to hear that, and still doesn't know why they thought that when the coroner's report says that he died of pneumonia. Which is
I can't imagine what his mother must have gone through then with that.
exactly, yeah. I mean, she's been through hell pretty much, and even last year she lost her daughter as well. Max's sister died last year to COVID. So yeah, it's been very difficult for her. And
Actually, it wasn't COVID, but whatever.
You know, I mean, I've interviewed her a couple of times about the death of Max Spiers, and we've gone through every single detail, every question, and she still, I think, she still has a lot of questions, which we're trying to find answers to, really.
So I'm going to ask the viewers then if they've got any questions for you guys, because we're down to the last 10 minutes. But I want to just point out that I have this book right here.
She has a book. Okay, so let's go on. Jumping the trampoline, dates mixed up. Everything was out. Okay, here we go. Here we're going to get to the cell phone. Here's the cell phone part, and then we're going to leave on this.
His computer, everything were wiped out. Everything.
Go back a little bit
which is
more.
Very interesting factors that we're going to unfold in the next coming. This is it. The dates were mixed up. So if you go now listen to this audio, don't be fooled that they're saying that he was tired, he had to go jump on a trampoline. There was actually, everything has been manipulated and mixed up because he was actually indoors. And his computer, everything were wiped out. Everything was wiped out conveniently. They said that the phone fell in the bath and got into water, and the computer was wiped out. Everything was wiped out. All the evidence, and that's.
So did you see how she said the phone fell in the bath? And then Taj knows this. Taj knows this. That's about Sarah sexting with Max, and that's the excuse. And he's sitting there next to another woman who said that Max had no contact with Sarah before her death, and he manages Sarah Rachel Adam at the same time that he's allowing that information about the cell phone dropping in the bathtub. This is my main beef. This is, when you do a show and you have like, what's the plot line? What's the main theme? What's the main message? The main message is not only did Sarah Rachel Adam not be in a relationship with Max before he died, not only was, did she go to the Daily Mail and other publications and spun a story and made it seem like she was, but she created an excuse for the reason why his cell phone dropped in the bathtub. And then both these guys, Taj, knowing that both women had conflicting stories, goes on Sean Atwood and goes on with the fact that it dropped in the bathtub. Who says that that's not a cover up for what one minute you're saying it looked like he was waterlogged and bloated and he was drowned, but you're giving an excuse why his cell phone got wet. It's all over the place.
You got a question here from Kelly. Who do you believe silenced him or disappeared him?
Well, the people who he was staying with, Monica, there are links to Monica was working with Stuart Swerdlow. I don't know if anybody knows or heard of Stuart Swerdlow, but
okay, so they're going to go on that narrative and they're going to go about that and blah 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 blah. And so it's when when everybody sits back and goes, oh well, Taj is now coming out and dumping Sarah and this and that. I'm like, okay, well then Taj, why don't you come clean about this part right here? Like, why were you motivated to actually go along with this bullshit story about a cell phone dropping in a bathtub? Why? And I feel like, okay, well, it's great that he's outing Sarah, but you know what? He's participated in this, and I don't really think it's okay to just let him off the hook like it's nothing. Sarah was actually attacking people and calling CPS and doing all this stuff and like doing this whole entire scam and you know trying to like market essential oils to help with COVID and Taj wants to sit back and act like he has no participation in it. I'm sorry, that's not really good enough for me. And another thing that happened was that, you know, I had this group that wanted me part of this group and the Sarah Rachel Adam exposing thing. And I knew he was in it. And I'm like, no. You know what? Ben, the JR Porter, was saying, well, let's have a tribunal about this. Like, I'm having, it's a hard pill for me to swallow, no pun intended, to think that Taj all of a sudden realized and woke up that Sarah wasn't really a multidimensional healer and that she wasn't running some sort of scam and she wasn't harassing people online. Sarah told people that I R'd her, that I threatened to R her. Came into my chat and said it to me. Made up, like she's even put it out online that I was responsible. I was behind some evil people and I had something to do with Max Spiers' death. No, it's not okay. She's a scam artist, and I think Taj knew that. And Taj went around and perpetuated a bunch of narratives around a suspicious death. And none of this is coming clean about anything. And even if you want to say, well, it's not suspicious. He just OD'd. He was an addict. He didn't know what he was talking about. He was a false person, blah, 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 blah. Fine. If that's what you want to believe, that's what your narrative is. That's what you've researched. Hey, you're entitled to your opinion. But either way, there's been a story created and that story got clicks, didn't it? That story ended up in people being scammed, didn't it, Sarah? That story, that false association of being his fiance, the widowed fiance, got you on Gaia TV and got you on Coast to Coast and got you a big bump in the scam, right? I mean, at the very least, we can at least say that, can't we? Because I'm not doing a show because I'm trying to prove what actually happened to Max Spiers, because I think that's going to be just a mystery probably forever, maybe, as long as we're alive. But the fact that what bothers me, the deception of this media, the one that I was associated with, of people who talk about this to take something and bastardize it and mucky around information so that they can make a profit. That's what makes me angry. That's why I wanted to do a live stream today. That's why I talk about Sarah Rachel Adams. It's not some sort of female cat fight out here. Oh, she says this, she says that. I think she's a deceptive person, a scammer, a fraud. And she catapulted herself on the death of somebody that she was basically broken up with and was off running around with Sean Stone. That's what Sarah Rachel Adams did. So if you want to sit back and go, oh, she took my money or whatever, cry me a fucking river. I don't really give a shit what his problem is on that. It's interesting that it's come out. It's interesting that you know he's turning away. It's interesting that we're all being able to see what's being exposed. But you know what? I think Tash should like stand up and take responsibility for what he's done in this. Okay? Yeah, I said it. Okay, and so I want to get back to some fun stuff. I'm going to end off with a little bit of going back to some highlights of Stephen Cambion's show, because there's some people that called in, and I mean, it was really pretty much, it was gold. The reaction and what happened and everything, and I'm going to end on that. I've been going for 3.5 hours. I haven't done a show this long in a really long time, but let me find the spot where Sarah calls in. somewhere around here, I think.
I read it. So for the benefit of fellow researchers here, let's just I will flip through this again. Yeah, activation and healing. I'm not making this up or just reading this from nowhere. This is what she's offering people. And this course is 40 Zoom sessions and it costs $222,000 to take this course. Or I'm sorry, $22,000. She's charging people 20.
That's like going to college. I'm not kidding you.
Ooh.
Can we do a FAFSA application for that? Okay, here we go. Let's see what we got here.
We'll see what happens, right? There goes my chances of getting a med bed treatment. Well, you know, it is what it is, and I'm sure
you'll receive the paperwork shortly.
Here we go.
Malicious statements are an effort to defame.
Here we go. Okay, so Sarah's like pseudo attorney calls in.
Of your statements has also called emotional distress, and then they go on to give examples. Look, all I ever said is her fake powers or her superpowers are fake as shit. And I stand by that statement. Sarah R. Adams' superpowers are fake. And so is her lawyer. Her lawyer is fake, just like her superpowers, right? Oh, man, this is getting good. I didn't think this was going to get this good tonight. Here we go. Now she's texting me more. She must have saved my cell phone all this time. That's interesting. Your podcast is going to be used as evidence on you and Mr. Gill, who is already a felon in the USA. Well, I don't know if that's true, but that's a claim of Sarah R. Adams. It's clearly your intent to stalk, harm, or harass on a part of the criminal. This is grounds for a restraining order on you, which will be done along with strikes on your channel. I manage Miss Adams. She is currently going through a heart condition. Oh, she has a heart condition. Why doesn't she just heal her heart condition with her fake superpowers, bro? And this is an intent to cause her harm. No, let me put it on the record. Oh, so this person texting me is not Sarah. It's apparently her fake lawyer. Text me right now your state issued license number. What state in the United States are you a legal attorney in? Text it to me right now. Did you pass the bar in your home state? What was that? Your home state was, I believe, New Mexico, as best I recall. No, I don't even know offhand what state this guy lives in, but he's one of her simps. You know, he hangs. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Hello, this is Steven, and you're live on YouTube. Pardon me?
Are you speaking now with Taj?
No, who is this? Is this Patrick Ruiz?
No, sir.
Then who is this?
Are you planning to speak with Taj?
I'm speaking to him through Messenger.
How are you speaking to him through?
I don't need to tell you that. Who is this calling my phone?
Are you aware of the legal actions being taken against Taj?
I'm aware that a fake psychic, fake healer, con artist is claiming that she's taking legal actions, but she's claimed to be taking legal actions from many people.
She is taking legal actions against Taj and will against you as well.
All right. So send me the paperwork then. Big tough guy, fake lawyer. You know, a legal degree does not entitle you to legally represent someone in this country. You need to have passed a state bar and been admitted to practice law in one of the states. Which state are you a lawyer in?
You'll receive the paperwork shortly.
Okay, is it coming from a real law firm or from your home address like last time?
don't know what you mean by last time.
Is this Patrick Ruiz? The fake lawyer that sent me the fake letter last time? Patrick, I don't know who you think you're dealing with, but I live in Pennsylvania. There's very strong journalist shield laws. Good luck. There's anti-SLAPP. There's a journalist shield law. I don't have to reveal any sources, even under threat of subpoena or lawsuit or arrest. Do you understand that if I'm not going to be intimidated by a fake lawyer that hasn't passed a bar in my home state or any other, to the best of my knowledge? And what lawyer calls somebody and won't give their name and their bar number? What's your name and your bar number?
I'm not going to tell you that in this venue.
You're not going to tell me that. So you're a fake lawyer. I get that you have a law degree and that you're one of her simps.
Sarah's probably in the same room of him as his, and she's probably trying to signal him of what to say next because, Steven's busting their balls.
Do you know how many other people she has used? Like she's using you and then burnt when things didn't go her way? Do you have any idea how many people she's threatened with lawsuits, child protective services, restraining orders? Do you have any idea? Because I've got all those files. Do you know what it's going to look like to a judge and a jury that you're trying to help her threaten and intimidate journalists into silence?
That's not what I'm doing.
Okay, well then what's your purpose here? You won't give me your name. That's pretty cowardly. Are you a pussy? Do you want to give me your name? Or are you too much of a pussy to even give me your name? You want to call my personal cell phone and threaten me, then give me your name, you pussy. No? No? What do you want to do here? Call ended. The pussy wouldn't give me his name. And you know what? We win. I am a journalist. I am exercising my constitutional rights to free speech and freedom of expression. I am reporting relevant news events in the beat that I cover, which is the consciousness community and the UFO community. I'm not doing anything wrong here, but let me just put this on the record. The purpose of tonight's broadcast is not to harass, defame, cyberstalk, intimidate, or threaten anybody. The purpose of tonight's broadcast is to educate the public about the dangers of fake New Age healers, fake New Age psychics, and literal crazy crystal hippie bitches who are stealing money from people, in my opinion, for fake superpowers. This idiot is calling me defending a woman who claims she can open stargates and teach you how to do it for $333. Call me Astro with a kind and generous 220.
Okay,
Says,
so
Sarah, help us hit the goal and we'll be nicer.
keep going.
The law is 9 p.m. is the cutoff. Simon McFly, right? It's like, don't you say I'm a fraud on the.
Okay, and this is like her on Jimmy Church.
The ability to go into other dimensions.
Okay,
Portals into other dimensions.
let me just skip through here.
Let your mother's going
Right now.
I didn't say that.
He's on YouTube. Like, he's just, yeah.
Well, let's just listen in.
Okay, here we go. Here we go.
Well, they called me.
Butt dialed me. What?
And he's like ridiculing my lawyer, that my lawyer.
And then she had like there's another woman that called in, and went off on Steven during the show. But this is Sarah butt dialing him, or maybe intentionally butt dialing him.
And what she's doing is like criminal to like release information on my client.
So if you want like something like that, like a restraining order, that would all go through like the 8th judicial court.
Yeah. Okay.
That's what you'd have to file that through.
Okay.
If that's what you're going, I would still go.
What would you go for on somebody like this? Because he's in the U.S. Yeah, he's not listening to that. So should we just go for a lawsuit on him, or how would we go?
I think that's where your lawyer.
Okay.
Give you criminal advice, or he give you like lawyer advice, right?
Okay.
What I do is I start with fraud detectives and the.
Yeah, I have the fraud department involved already in California.
Did they give you any advice?
Yeah, so he's a felon in the United States because he stole my identity. He lost my account. He wired himself money.
So now she's talking to somebody about Taj, okay? Butt dialing Steven, and Steven is like airing it.
A lot of stuff, honestly. So he's like, he has so many charges in the United States. But basically, he's in England, but he's getting on show.
Yes, hopefully.
They butt dialed me.
Well, we have Interpol. That is, yeah.
They don't know they called me.
I mean, I maybe talked to maybe the department set out in California.
Yeah, they're helping me with it.
Charges, like with them and everything.
Yes.
So,
but my lawyer said to come here and do another police report tonight because he said that we need to like have the report for what he's sending into Interpol right now.
Who's sending it to Interpol?
My lawyer is. He's transferring everything from the United States because my lawyer's in the United States.
The charges would all go through Interpol.
Okay.
We can't do anything locally.
No, so I just need to do a report, another report. Yeah.
You only do like the local report. So if you're
Steven's face cracks me up.
that's all going to be handled through Interpol. And if you've already talked to like people in California, we can't really think of a report for something that happened.
Okay.
We can't do that.
But he's doing it like on a radio show here. Like he's literally doing more harassment, more stalking, more defamation here.
Sound familiar? They all say that.
Charges and everything. When you start one out here, then it's like they're just going to pass it off to the detectives in California, wherever you did this in California.
Okay.
Pass it all. They're the ones that are building all this case and everything.
Yeah.
If you want to start like a source RC at this border, I go down to the 8th Judicial Court. It's like Pecos and Bonanza.
Okay, we'll do that tomorrow morning.
Like 8 to 4 hours.
And then here's like a fake Sarah comes into the chat. There's a chat going on at the same time that apparently she's talking to a police officer or sheriff or whatever. And then it says, "Hi, Steven. It's Sarah. I've just emailed you. Let me know if you received it. Thanks, Sarah." Okay, right? And then it's Sarah Addams Adams. It's not Sarah Adams Adams because that's really how she spells her name. So here's this fake. This profile is as fake as Fiona Barnett's fake profile of Fiona Barnett that came into my chat earlier on the show. Same shit happening, right?
Judicial Court, did you? Something Bonanza? Yeah, it's like Pecos and Bonanza. Pecos and Bonanza, okay. Quite a name. Judicial Court. It's a family court. Okay.
So I'm dealing with a heart condition right now, and basically, like, I went to the ER because
it's 601
of the stress of him doing this.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to get it like taken care of, and he's aware of that. He's just like cleaning people.
601 North Pecos, Pecos Road. Okay.
Instant classic.
About my heart condition and how
That's me. My comment.
Okay, I've muted myself so I could speak. It appears she's in a police.
And appears she's in a police, a police station. This is the kind of stuff that Sarah does. Sarah goes to the police. She calls CPS. She reports on people. She doesn't just have a discrepancy against somebody for calling her out on her bullshit and, exercising free speech and investigating into her. She maliciously tries to sabotage that person. She will even go into making false accusations. Like, for example, she came into my chat and said that I threatened to R her. She went to Stephen Cambion. I saw graphics of her going to Stephen and telling him that and hoping that he will pick up and do a show about how I threatened to R her. So she was trying to get people to cover that lie in order to smear me personally. That's Sarah Rachel Adams. That's your intuitive, your intuitive psychic healer, your life coach. That's the real Sarah. That's what she does.
Police station, try and file police reports about Taj.
Person that his wife don't want to be with him about it. She's just a troll show. But they're
She's talking about me now.
all of my personal information and everything, and that's why I'm trying to get these results with them to, so I can just get a verbal cease and desist on him, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's the course.
Yeah.
There's enough that we have to just
Oh yeah, this guy did he's doing it live on a radio show. So I have yeah, we got it recorded, and I also have
I've shown that to the judge.
Yeah.
And then they do what they need to with that.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. And if he tries to
Show that to a judge. There's nothing law enforcement can do about this. This is not criminal. This is, if she wanted to get him for defamation, Sarah's going to have to prove that what Stephen is saying about her is not true. And Sarah can't prove that.
I earlier had some heart palpitations because, like, my lawyer
Clips, friends.
and so did some of my friends, and be like, and I quoted him, so the lawyer for my letter, and he's like, a letter from my lawyer, and he's like, oh, it's not real and stuff. This guy's like complete nuts. So it's kind of like listening that you're going to have like your client's emails and personal information is like not very, like, it's definitely like kind of some anxiety there.
Yeah, I think women also feel like non-disclosure, all that stuff.
I just want to say, I'm trying to remain as quiet as possible so that we could record this for other researchers and for posterity. This is gold, friends.
All this money out of my, I actually have this paperwork down here out of my bank accounts and stuff. So, like, the highest level chase, they have him under, like, investigation right now for fraud. So,
Yeah, me and her former lawyer.
He's trying to get on show because he's mad because he wants more money for his meth addiction. And he stole probably like hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Batman villains.
Yeah, I definitely, the agency you're dealing with out in California.
Yeah.
You built the case with them, so then it's all localized.
Okay.
I can tell you case here, case there, everything.
Some psychic, she didn't see this coming. She butt dialed me. She's dumber than the rock she talks to.
No, thank you, Ward. Definitely, thank you for keeping us up. That man is going to jail.
Hey, Sarah, you butt dialed me. You know that?
It's Steve's wife is reliable.
Before we leave this, the next step is to contact lawyers.
Okay, yeah, we gotta get the detective that's helping me on the case from Cali. Yeah, and then
we have to get to that the video.
Yeah, a feed and yeah. But I also have a whole bunch of friends.
This
that
is
are
Keno.
like their testimonies on how they were listening to the show, and he was saying all this stuff.
Yeah, let's get some subs, guys.
But the thing is I think that, like,
Are you not entertained?
so crazy that they're not gonna
I swear this is not a setup. Oh, the call ended. Oh, the call ended, friends. I swear to God, I did not set anything up with Sarah. I think she butt dialed me.
Okay, and then there later on in the show, there's varying attempts of Sarah saying that she's gonna she was gonna go be on Steven's show the next night, and of course it wasn't her, or it didn't happen, and so she hasn't really responded or come clean or whatever. And I realize that I don't even know what Sarah's actual YouTube channel is anymore. I might have blocked a Sarah somewhere on YouTube because I didn't want her to have, contact with me at all. But if Sarah does want to reach out and answer some questions, especially about some of the things I've said about the cell phone dropping, or any of these discrepancies, again, I'm open to her making up talking about what happened during my show. I mean, if I'm going to be talking and showing things that I think is going on, then obviously somebody has the right to say their side of the story, right? So, I am open to that with Sarah, but I seriously don't think that's going to happen. Well, here's my prediction: is I'm going to get probably I'm going to see some comments on social media that are going to be very conspiratorial about me, and that how I was maybe involved with this or that, or I'm a disgusting person, or whatever it's going to happen. She's going to release it and make some sort of excuse. I'm jealous of her or whatever, because that's another one that these ladies try to like pull out in there. And so let's recap before I say goodbye to everybody. And I want to thank Mega Man for being here, and Fake Fiona Barnett. We have Raven. Aiken showed up. Mark McFarlane. Raven TW, thank you for tuning in. Christine was here for a little while. Aiken Drum for being in the broadcast. Angela G, thanks for being here. And some of you that showed up and have made your presence known in the chat. If you do watch this afterwards, please do. Oh, I got Angie stuck on there. Let me see. Mega Man. Okay, here we go. Please do like and subscribe to my channel. Probably will be covering more of this. This is kind of like, I haven't talked about Sarah in a long time, but since I was there on that stream with Steven and all this stuff is coming out, I decided to do my live stream. And I believe possibly we'll be doing a show about this with Steven on Truth Seekers as well, and maybe just go on with like the rest of what might be happening here. But the main point is that a lot of people are upset at Sarah. She has done things that, well, I'm just hearing stories of things that would even seem even more fraudulent and criminal on the part of Sarah, and Sarah wants to point a finger at Tosh for it and talk to the police. I think that there's some things that maybe Sarah's done that maybe should have a phone call to the police. But I'm not going to say those things, because those comments have been given to me in confidence by somebody, and I haven't really fact checked everything yet exactly on it. But there is evident that there's been some sort of disconnect between Taj and Sarah, and Taj has come out and dumped all his media and broken away from Sarah. And obviously you hear Sarah trying to call the police on Taj and get Interpol involved and all this kind of stuff, which is a typical Sarah tactic. If you do something, if you question her, if you ask her about her authenticity or her scam, right? If you say, "Are you a scammer? Are you being fraudulent? Are you running a scam here? Are you going to other people and getting money from them and not paying it back or whatever?" Then there's an issue here. And if we're going to be in a media where we're going to be talking about or searching for what's true, searching for UFOs or whatever this reality is, if we're going to do these things, when you give people fake spirituality and become like a spiritual guru, like an insider, a healer, representing something, and you're taking a bunch of money from it, and you're a complete liar. I think it's a duty for those of us that have been around, that I had her on as a guest several times when I was on Revolution Radio. I think it's our duty to call somebody out and say, this person is a liar and they're not authentic, and beware, you should not fall into their scam. chanting for likes and cash. LOL. Yeah, exactly. Meanwhile, I say like and subscribe. But hey, I have a YouTube channel. This is not my rabbit hole. I cover a lot of different subjects on this channel, and I do different things. So if you want to follow me, welcome. And thank you. This has been a nice turnout for today. And hi, Ben. Ben the JR Porter is here. And then he's saying hi to Charles. Just when I'm about to leave. I got to go get something. I haven't eaten yet, and I'm super hungry now. So I got to take care of some stuff. So on that note, I will say goodbye. And if you do want to support my channel, this is how you can do it. I probably am going to get monetized here real soon again. That's going to be on the horizon. But if you want to support my efforts here, my research into Sarah or anything else that's going on, thank you for supporting me. And thank you for tuning in. And hopefully I will see you next time. And I'm going to go ahead and start this song again. All right. Bye, you guys.
Save my soul. Went up downtown. Went up downtown. Went up downtown. Come on to save my soul. Went up downtown. I went up downtown. Went up downtown. Up, save my soul. Up, save my soul. Up, save my soul. Up, save my soul. Save my soul. On top, save my soul. Up, save my soul. Up, save my soul. Up, save my soul. On top, save my soul. Up, save my soul. Up, save my soul. Up, save my soul. On top, save my soul. Up, save my soul. Save my soul. Up, save my soul. Up, save my soul. Up, save my soul. Went up downtown. I went up downtown. Went up downtown. I was walking out one evening late. Headed for the riverside around this fuss and fight.